But Mario is a cartoon character in a sense, like fucking like The Simpsons. You know what I'm saying? You know
what is going on, people? It is Saturday night, and next podcast is live. Guys,
the show has started?
Yeah,
oh shit.
Yeah, I actually ran out of breath, man. I was laughing so hard at the conversation that was going on while we were off air. I let you guys know. I was like, man, I got the intro going. We're going in. Guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are having a great weekend. It is a start, to an awesome weekend. Everybody is getting ready to spend time with their loved ones or whatnot. Thank you guys in the chat for coming in early and hanging out with us. I really do appreciate that. And you know how it goes when it goes to this show. We got to start with the intros. And first, I'd like to introduce the newest #1 fan to Bonnie Ross, K Mega.
Whoa, Bonnie Ross, will you be my wife? Lord have mercy. She just made me so excited when she said her comments. Oh my God.
You sound like a Master Chief hater. That's all I gotta say.
I am not a Master Chief hater. I got Chief stuff in my little game room, man. I love Chief. I love Chief, but I love what Bonnie Ross said.
He must die.
I didn't say that. I just said I love what Bonnie Ross said, and that's what and I loved it, and it was great because she said that the biggest character in Halo is the universe.
Well, that's true.
And that is true. But anyway, other than that, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. Man, I just got off of work less than an hour ago. Yes, I washed my ass. I'm repped, I'm prepped, and I got my liquor ready to go. But man, I'm glad that I made the show, and we're gonna get it going.
Yeah, guys, I gotta say, I'm thinking about changing the name of the show from Next Podcast to the Workaholics Podcast, because we have 3 people on the panel who have been doing crazy hours, and that's gonna go right into my next introduction. Of course, it is the Rookie of the Year, pulling in those 15-hour shifts at work right now over the holidays, Knoxximus!
Yo, what's poppin'? What's really good, everybody?
What's up, brother? Yo, it is good to have you on, man. I know you have been working like absolute crazy. I am glad that you can still make pretty much every single show while you're on the grind right now, man.
Yeah, man. Luckily my Friday nights, Saturday nights are good, so let's get it.
I know what you did, man. You went up to your supervisor. You're like, yo, I'll take these hours, but when it comes to Friday night, Saturday night, I gotta be clear.
Yeah. Those are my RDOs. Those are my regular days off, and I don't touch them shits. I'm like, nope, I'm not coming in. I'm not doing shit. Staying home, chilling.
Nice, brother. Well, I can't wait to hear your opinions on the topics that we have, but I do have to go through on the rest of the intros. And guys, if you notice from what I did last week when I accidentally forgot to introduce Knox, he came in second on the list this week. I learned from my mistakes, man. I'm just saying. But next on the list in terms of introductions, he is actually working right now. He is a multitasking genius. This guy gets into the gaming news and brings articles into the DM. Predator!
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Happy to be here again. Another show. Yeah, I am working right now, and I'm ready to get this winning gameplay. Votes from you guys today, so make sure y'all vote for Pred.
Working for man, vote for Pred, because Pred ain't gonna get paid this week.
Yo, for real, right? Yo, certain people over there in DC decide that Predator might not get a paycheck going on, man.
So I'll even say vote for Pred, man. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna get no check. Damn shame, bro.
Predator's like, just put some steel slats in. Let's get this going, yo. Let me get my money, man. But next on the list, man, I gotta introduce him because my lights are flickering, so that means people in the chat, I know your lights are too. Guys, it is time to stand up, show that respect, kiss that ring. Oh shit, it's the Don.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, it's that time of month. I showed up, and it's time to do the next podcast. And I don't know. Bot's got some topics. He's like saved all his Destiny topics for today. I don't know what's going on.
No, I didn't. There's no Destiny on the topics. I know there's only certain people for some rhyme or reason I could talk about Destiny with, and so I don't bring that to the show anymore. Okay?
You know the reason why? because there's a small user base right now.
Oh my goodness!
So,
from what I hear, it's not about the size of the user base, but it's about how many hours they're online. You know what I'm saying?
I guess that's a thing too.
Again, guys, huge shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you could just do us a little favor and slap that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, I think by the end of the show, you're going to be like, how come I haven't subscribed a long time ago? But we got to get into the topics. I don't know where we're going to start here. Let's see. Let's start with Sony and posting a job listing. Basically, they're hiring people for the PlayStation to get PlayStation Now. Check this out, guys. Everybody sitting down. To get PlayStation Now on multiple devices. Guys, can you believe this? What is going on? I thought like once a game goes from a console, if you're able to play it on your PC or any other device, I've heard that it's no longer exclusive in certain camps. I don't know. K Mega, what do you think about this news here? And for some rhyme or reason, the Hangout has switched up. Oh, I see. Somebody posted the topics in there. Mega, what do you think about this news, man? Were you surprised to see that Sony's going to be hiring for this? And then when it comes to PlayStation Now, if they're hiring now, do you think that this is like, maybe a couple years down the line, or do you think they're going to try to have something like this ready for when they release the PlayStation 5, man? Great thoughts right there.
Dropped out, came back in.
Oh, okay. It was me. My bad.
I can't watch the Hangout all the time, so I don't know who drops out or anything. I
hit the wrong button, and I was trying to exit out of something, and I exit out of the Hangout. So I was like, "Oh, snap!"
The only button that he is king of is the A button. Anything else, there's a chance he's gonna hit the wrong one, man. Mega, do you need me to like repeat the question real quick, or?
Was it about the PlayStation Now?
Yeah, dude. I was asking if you're surprised that it looks like that this is the route they're going, and the other question was, since they're listing for hiring now, do you think that they're going to try to have this for PlayStation Now ready when PS5 launches in 2020, or do you think this is like a couple years down the line?
No, I think both. I think that this was already implemented. If you go back and think about in 2014 when this was first talked about, with the Vita being connected to your televisions and to your PlayStation 4s, they were out there trying to go this route with the Play Anywhere aspect. They just kept it more down low. Xbox was all in for it from the very beginning, but so no, it's not a surprise. And now, since they see the success with Game Pass, things like that, and now with Project Steam or whatever for Amazon or whatever, or was it Google? I think it's Google. Yeah, for Google, and they starting to see that a lot of people are starting to get on board with this. This was something that they wanted, but they were a little hesitant because they still thought that it's all about the box, it's all about the exclusives, the old school way of gaming. But they're also now starting to see that all of this is starting to evolve and change. So yeah, no, this doesn't surprise me whatsoever. What cracks me up is that the people that has to eat crow, all this motivation for talking about what was going on with Xbox and how they were going to have Game Pass on their PlayStations and things like that. Where's that motivation now? Because it's been absolutely quiet when it's been talking about this particular subject.
That's because I started giving out crow recipes.
Nice. Now, Fred did show me that there were some guys that did eat some crow, so maybe they should go ahead and take a chance on that, on looking at their video. But it's really a no-brainer. This is exactly how business is done, and as many gamers out there I know that kind of want to keep things on the same playing field and not wanting to expand. This is what is the future. There's going to be a time, and it might not be this generation or the next, but there definitely is going to be a time where there are not going to be any hardware consoles whatsoever.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? And it's going to go to this way because they see that they can make money. It's all about the software. It's been about the software. It used to be at one point in time, I suppose, about the hardware, but it's gotten to the point to where games are so expensive to make, and people want bigger and better games. This is just definitely where everything is headed to. Streaming is going to be everywhere. And once it gets to a point to where the 5G hits, and then like the people in the rural areas can start getting 4G, I think the sky's the limit, man.
Yo, brother, when it comes down to it, I know you're talking, to the community out there. If I looked at it like you were talking to me personally, I would have been like, man, you are preaching to the choir. I know I have been on so many shows where I told people about streaming and everything like that. Not necessarily that physical will die, because if you look at a lot of people point right now, they point to movies, but even before that, pointing to music. Right now, everybody I know, they at least have some type of digital library of music. I don't know too many people that go out and buy discs anymore, but they're still out there if you want that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I know I said it a while ago. I was like, these streaming services, especially, dude, me and you think right along that same alley, because like once 5G hits, then when it comes down to internet speed and stuff like that, there's going to be no worries there. But let's go to the Don here, because Don, I want to hear like what you think about Sony doing this now. You basically have two of the companies here. You have, Microsoft and Xbox, Sony and PlayStation, talking about streaming services. You are an independent developer. I want to know, like, what you think about these companies talking about this as another step to bringing, gaming content to a wider range of gamers out there. And what does this mean for the developers if basically the two main guys with traditional consoles are now also talking streaming services, man?
Well, streaming services is just to get more people in the seats, subsidize the cost. I think it's a little different for Sony than it is for Microsoft, because they don't really have the data centers Microsoft does, but they do have some. And what it is to make sure those things are not wasting space in some sort of building. And I just don't know if they have a real good roadmap, though, which is a little bit concerning for me. Regarding the future, because they rely on Amazon servers so heavily, and when you're relying on that, you're leasing that, you're kind of a victim of a third party there.
Yeah, you're basically paying another company to use their servers, so they're not using, like when they bought Gaikai, that wasn't server farms, or what's going on?
It was, but it's not that many. And how long ago was that?
Oh, that was a long time ago. So you don't think they have built up anything within Gaikai?
Well, I mean, we would have already seen a reflection of that in PS Now, and PS Now seems like the same since that launch. I mean, there's some small improvements, but we haven't seen any huge improvements there, and we haven't really seen any huge improvements on PS Now as it stands right now. So they got some work ahead of them in regards to their streaming service. That's for sure.
All right, I got you. Yo, huge shout out to Sir X-Man hitting up that super chat. And of course, he is praising K-Mega. He's like, K-Mega, still a beast in Battlefield 4. He owns that knife. Mega, what is he talking about? You own that knife. You creeping up on people, man?
Yeah, man, I like to take those tags. But there was one particular guy. He was max player. He was a goon. That dude was savage. And he ran up on me. He was doing like Dragon Ball Z type shit with avoiding my bullets. And then he tried to knife me, but then I took it from him. And then I knifed him a couple other times. And then we were all just playing, and I was just taking tags like every match that we were playing, man. Battlefield 4 is still fun as hell, man. I'm down to play whatever tonight. You know what I'm saying? So just hit me up, man. You know what I'm saying? Battlefield 5, Battlefield 4, whatever.
Yo, speaking of that, our
Sea of Thieves, whatever. I don't care tonight.
Our boy Brian Baker, aka Delirium Blades, hit up that super chat. Thank you for the support, man. He said K-Mega is the bait in Battlefield 5 for him. So he's saying, like, I don't know, either he's using you as bait or he feels like his skills are that much better than yours. I don't know which way he's going with that, man.
I think they think he's salmon eggs.
Salmon
Yeah,
and ham.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I could be green eggs and ham. That's fine. You know what the effect of it is that I'm a level 50 on Battlefield 5, and that was 2 weeks ago because I was over there doing that work on Origin. God dang it! I can't wait to jump on this Odyssey now. I'm becoming an Assassin's Creed fan now after playing Origin. Origin is dope, bro. I was like, okay. Now people telling me the Odyssey is better. We shall see about that. I don't know, man. I think Origin is going to be pretty legendary, but. Yeah, no, I'm down. Like I said, I'm down for whatever. Just hit me up tonight. I'm ready to play some games because I ain't played no games really hardly this week, bro.
Just don't ask him to play. What is it? Forza Horizon 4 because he's all over the place.
No. I'm down to play that tonight too. I gotta get some kind of man. I don't know what was going on because I ain't played Forza in a while, and me and Don was playing, and we was out there on the new expansion, Fortune Island.
He was drunk.
No, I wasn't drunk. I was just horrible. I couldn't drive worth a damn. I was all over the place. Don was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "I don't know." Just going
all over the place. There's fucking topics all over the place.
No, I know. I was going to bring it back. I'm letting him talk.
I'm leaving it go.
It's okay. Mega was playing like he was using a stream device, so it's all good.
This is basically. We'll consider this kind of like the last show of 2018. Because I have a feeling you guys won't, you guys are going to be busy with family and everything rolling into next weekend and getting ready for New Year's and stuff like that. So I was letting the, the conversation go where it was, wherever it was going. And then I was going to reel it back when it got really crazy. So, but we are going to get back on topic here. Sony, hiring for people to get PlayStation Now on multiple devices, something that Phil Spencer has talked about with Game Pass, and some people out there in the gaming community kind of ridiculed when Phil Spencer said it. They got really quiet on social media when Sony and this whole kind of like hiring thing became news. So, Pred, I'm gonna get to you in a second. I want to hit up Knox real quick, and then I'm gonna roll it over to you. So, Knox, what do you think about this? Is this does it look like this is the way that the industry is going? Do you think that this is a common sense move for Sony to do something like this? And do you think, because, the Don said that, Sony deals with Amazon a lot where Microsoft has their own kind of like server farms, do you think it's going to be a quality like service? Like, if you had a crystal ball, do you think Sony's streaming service would be quality, man?
I don't really think any of these streaming services are going to be, to the quality of having, a console in your home or a PC. That's for damn sure. We already know that. But, Sony is going to have to get on board because Microsoft is going in, Google's going in as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, Amazon might be doing their own thing too. So if Sony's going to pay them, to get their stuff done as well as, compete against them, that's on them. They're going to have to do it, because that's just the direction that it's going, for an option. They're going to have to give that same option, man, because people want to explore those avenues. They're going to be missing out if they don't offer it. So that's all I got to really say about that, man. You guys already pretty much covered that whole thing. There's not really much to say about it, man.
Covered that and K-Mega's driving skills and Battlefield all within a very short time.
I wouldn't call it skills.
Yo, Mega, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt there. You saw that. I wasn't trying to hate.
That's just my first time in a long time being bad in Forza, man. I've actually been holding my own. I haven't played in a while, so I got to get back on it.
I thought Megan was having a stroke. I really did.
Well,
I was feeling really bad for him.
Huge shout out to Sir X-Man hitting up that super chat, showing that love once again. Guys, I hope you like the little kind of like alert anytime you do super chat. One of my favorite movies is Anchorman. So I grabbed one of the clips from Anchorman. So every time you throw in a super chat, you get a little kind of like Anchorman clip when you do that. So I hope you like that. But Sir X-Man said that Xbot said grip tonight. And yeah, I told Sir X-Man I would play grip after the show. So I don't know if K-Mega, if you're down for that.
Oh, I'm down for that too. Grip is fun.
All right, bro. Yeah. Well, Predator, you got Sony, right, who really tried to cater to the gamers in terms of being that kind of like traditional company for the traditional console and everything like that. And then you see that they are hiring for PlayStation Now to be put on, you know, whether it's your tablet or your cell phone, basically multiple devices. What do you think about this? You know, maybe a change in tradition when it comes to Sony, because they don't usually evolve with the times. They usually try to be at the number one and try to dictate where the industry's going. What do you think about Sony's move here to basically, I would say, try to mimic Game Pass for moving into the future?
I kind of expected it, especially with the hire they made.
Dude, you really expected that?
Yeah, think about who they hired to run the company. I mean, that guy, he's a...
You know about the guy that got promoted internally?
John Codera, right? I think his name. Like his background is like cloud and, you know, streaming and stuff like that. So it wasn't a surprise to me. I think I saw that coming, and they kind of had to. I mean, that's the way the direction of the game industry is going in the future. So like you got, you know, Xbox is doing it, Amazon, Google, all those knuckleheads are doing it too. So, you know, you don't want to be left behind. You're the industry leading company, and you see that other people are stepping in your territory and moving forward with things. You can't just sit there and remain the same, and not knocking Nintendo, but Nintendo's remained the same pretty much throughout this generation. They may do a little, you know, they basically at the core, they are who they are, you know, and we've accepted that.
No, I think Nintendo did something completely different, and I see a lot of people defend it. Now, I like the Switch with what it is, but in my eyes, that is a handheld right there. And they took a handheld, you know, something that they did like really good in terms of gaming and hardware, and they convinced people that this was a hybrid, right? And because it plugs into your TV, and it's selling well. So I think they did something different than they
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like Nintendo's different. Being different is what their
okay, I got you, man.
Like that's who they are. We've accepted that for that. Like we accept them doing it.
Yeah.
But let's say, you know, going forward, you know, with all these other companies going into the streaming space, and Sony stays where it's at, they're going to be the odd man out. And, you know, we had this conversation months ago, and, you know, I always say there's only room for three. You know, Nintendo's gonna do its own thing, so they don't really count. But like, you got Amazon, you got Microsoft, you got Google, and then you got PlayStation kind of jumping in that realm too. Someone's not gonna survive. You know, that's just too much shit. You know, so I think Sony kind of had to get into this space, especially when you look and see, like, you know, monetarily how well Microsoft has been doing with Game Pass. You know, so they got to get a piece of that pie. You know, you can't just drop. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I know there's some Sony guys out there, but they make great exclusives. They make really good exclusives. But
well, they got that template to make exclusives. It's got to be third person. Camera's got to be over the shoulder. They got to use the same type of lighting, the same type of textures. They just have different stories.
And that's going to be fine for right now. But, you know, in 5 years, people are gonna be like, okay, we need, you know, I mean, I had a little conversation with somebody online on Twitter this week, and, you know, I asked the question, I was like, where's their first person multiplayer? When was the last time you had one of those? You know, like you got to do more than just that over the shoulder third person. Now it sells because people like that shit right now, but, you know, we're really picky people. We'll switch up in a heartbeat, you know, like we'll change our mind and want something different, you know, and that's one of the knocks I have against Sony. Their games all typically look and play the same.
Yeah.
There's different stories. Whereas even though I'm not a fan of some of the games Microsoft has come out with this generation, they're really diverse in my eyes. Like there's something for everybody. And like, I don't play, like, I'm not a huge Sea of Thieves fan. I played it, you know, I tried it out, you know, but you know, you got games like that.
What other game out there was like Sea of Thieves? And
nothing, exactly. You got that.
Like
you got Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah, there's just
you got
so much.
First-person shooters. You got third-person shooters. You got you got a mixture of everything on the Xbox side. And even though again they didn't do well Metacritically, you know, as far as scores and stuff like that go, that they sold decent. Most of them did, but you know, you had a good mixture. Whereas Sony is just, you know, single player, over the shoulder, you know, games.
Well, Pred, I got another question when it comes to this, and this is a question. It's coming out of what I feel is logic and common sense. So, I might get a couple people upset out there if all they think about is Sony and PlayStation being #1 and all sorts of craziness. But when it comes to Sony and their online, like PlayStation Now, a lot of people complained about the latency, and it was even worse like when they were trying to do it on like Sony TVs and stuff like that. You look at their online service, which has improved since the PS3, but in regards to other companies in this industry, it is definitely not the #1 kind of like online service. Do you think that Sony can get this up and running and stable enough to like for gamers to use it and enjoy it?
They're gonna have to go with. I mean, look at it this way. Like I read some of this stuff. I see like Microsoft has just been buying up a lot of fucking cloud tech, a lot of cloud companies, right? Amazon's doing. Everyone's buying that shit. You don't hear Sony doing that. Like I don't see it. At least I don't see it on my level. Like if they're doing something behind the scenes that I don't know about, that's one thing. But you don't hear about it. All you hear about is Gaikai, and then they're working. I think Amazon. They're using their servers, so they're using Amazon. There's talks with Apple. Them having some kind of partnership with those guys, but that's what it's gonna have to take. They're gonna have to either buy some shit up or come up with a merger or a handshake deal with another company to get their cloud servers on the space that everybody else is, because right now they don't have it.
Yeah,
I don't even know if they have the money to do it, like the way Microsoft and the other companies are doing it. But so in the immediate, like just for like a quick Band-Aid fix, they may have to sign something with a huge cloud company to use their servers if they want, kind of like how they did with Gaikai, if they want to expand upon their server farm for their games going forward. With everything going on right now in gaming, go in that direction. I don't think they have the infrastructure right now to do what everybody else is doing.
Well, and that's the trick with the bigger companies. They want dependency of other people to use their server farms or their technology that runs their server farms, right? So, that's the big part of Microsoft's sales pitch. That's one of the reasons why Google and you have Amazon getting into it, because to be honest with you, they don't care if they have to partner with Sony or if Sony leaves. They basically, they're going to make their money either way is the way they look at it, and make sure
Sounds like an Amazon thing right there. We're going to make our money either way. So
yeah, instead of having something go to waste, basically, right? Because that's the big problem with server farms is when you have stagnant time, you're still paying employees, there's still maintenance, there's still upkeep, and it all those computers are plugged in even if they're not running, so like they still draw power. So that's you want to get your return on your investment as quickly as possible. It's like having a bunch of employees that stand around but you're still paying them on the clock. You kind of want to get your most you can out of them. So that's kind of the business model with all server farms and all big companies. So
all right, now check this out. K Mega, like I gotta ask you, man. I asked Predator, the Don chimed in here, but you played on PS4, you've played online. I believe you had a PS3 as well, so you know about the online service. I'm not sure if you ever got into PlayStation Now and tried out that service, but how do you feel about Sony's how do you feel about their odds of getting PlayStation Now on multiple devices and it being a stable service that gamers will get into without a lot of issues in terms of latency and stuff like that, man?
Man, it would be right now. Yeah, it would be a miracle. It would actually, I mean, with PSN being down as many times as it has, you would hope that maybe for all those times that they were doing for maintenance, maybe they were testing out these things for getting ready for the PlayStation 5 to drop and for their vision of what they're going to do with streaming. But I don't know, man. PlayStation has been behind the curve when it's come to online gaming for quite a while. So it's I think that they're going to have their challenges. But I mean, this company's been in business for so long. I mean, you would think that they would know what they were doing. The new person that's the head that really wants to start pushing this, they better have everything in line, because it's just like what Fred said. It's going to be too many hands in the pot or in the cookie jar, and somebody's going to leave out without having a cookie. So if they come out and they don't have their internet stuff taken up, or if they got maintenance to do all the time, that's going to kill a lot of enthusiasm for them to try to go this way. And then it goes into the whole thing of what they're going to do for the future of their version of Game Pass and with VR and all of that. They're going to have so many things going on at one time. Can they sustain all of this? And you know what I'm saying, and take care of all of their customers that may want to dip into each one of these things. So I don't know. It's going to be very challenging, because if we go by the track record right now, I have to say no.
You know, when it comes down to it, when PlayStation 5 does release, and I've been hearing kind of like rumors and rumors of rumors in terms of like possible games that are coming out on the PlayStation 5 and all that good stuff. I think this service is going to be looked at differently than the console in terms of success when it comes to Sony and everything like that. Because from what I'm seeing, Sony is going all in on a launch lineup for the PlayStation 5. I just need a little more verification before I start dropping names and stuff. But I don't
know if their community is accepting to that type of atmosphere than everybody else. Well, especially like, you know, PC and Xbox fans, because they're getting used to it already with online gameplay. A lot of PlayStation fans don't really care about that much about online gameplay, except for maybe just a few titles. More so, it's more a single player machine. You see what I'm saying? So
well, you say that, but there's like you look at active users on I think Sony quote unquote inadvertently let it leak, kind of like their active user base online, and there was like 51 million like active players on GTA 5.
Right, the casuals that play, the casual gamer that will play online. That's the same person that may have an Xbox and a Nintendo. You see what I'm saying? But I'm talking about for the diehard for themselves. Yeah, we know that there are going to be people that loves their single player games are going to play COD. But are they going to be more like the crap gamer type of gamer? You see what I'm saying? Where they're no. Stop it. Ooh, messy. Anyway, but or in a sense of, are we? You know, I'm not really into that. That could be for somebody else. My internet connection is not that great, or you know what I'm saying? I just rather keep it traditional, because that's all they've been touting for this generation about this is what gamers want, is the traditional console to where it just plays games. It don't do all that other stuff. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, or they're going to be kind of like like a lot of new age gamers that are into wanting to play their games everywhere. You see what I'm saying? I just don't know. I don't know.
That's Mad Jack in the chat said PlayStation Now. He says it's already beating Game Pass in subscriptions and streaming. And I'm going to give this to you, K Mega, as well, if you want to respond to that. But I will let him know as well. PlayStation Now has also been around for a lot longer. It was the first kind of like streaming option that was was available to gamers out there. You also look at the user base of PlayStation, how many consoles out there compared to the Xbox One. And I should hope your numbers are higher. You have a bigger base of people to kind of like market to get them into your service. But Mega, do you have anything to say to him on that?
I'm just basically look at all the tabloids where people are saying Game Pass is the future. You don't see anything about PlayStation Now is the future. You see PlayStation Now needs to reinvent itself. Obviously, if PlayStation Now was really doing as well as what Game Pass is doing right now, then they wouldn't have taken a page from what Microsoft was doing with downloading their games. Of course, they have more games, but they don't have. There was somebody that brought the same type of argument to me on in the comment section of GRG last night, and they were trying to say that, well, PS Now is just a better service all the way around. They have more games. They have this, that. Okay, but the one thing that the trump card for Game Pass is that you get to play new games.
New games.
You get to play new exclusives PlayStation, that's going to be that's what's going to be the selling point. If they don't reinvent themselves and do kind of like the same thing, like Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to be day one on PlayStation Now, that's not going to, you know what I'm saying? And if they just say, oh, well, we got Horizon Zero Dawn just now dropping on PlayStation Now for you to, to play available, that shit's not going to work. And even PlayStation fans has agreed with that. So you can tout about the users, and you can tout about as many games that they have on there, but there's so many other benefits that Game Pass has over PS Now in such a short period of time. It's already doing dividends for Microsoft, where PlayStation Now is just now seeming to get into somewhat of a groove. It's not still
I think
the go-to place to go.
I think PlayStation Now actually got more hype when they were like, you know what, you'll be able to download your games now. I think that's when more people are like, you know what, I'm going to try that out more. Otherwise, there were subscribers to that because, I think a lot of the subscribers to PlayStation Now when it first kicked off and who have kept their subscription all the way through are people who wanted backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 4 as well. You also got to remember, with Game Pass, you are getting the newer games, you are getting older games, but Xbox One is backwards compatible. You can play, 360 games that have been kind of like certified and run through the whole process. You can play them on your Xbox One, where PlayStation 4 does not have backwards compatibility, and the only way to do that is to use the PlayStation Now service. I think that was another hitch that got people to subscribe to that service as well.
Plus the fact that games are also cheaper since you already are a participant of Game Pass. So if you wanted to just say, well, I wanted to just try this particular game, let's say Crackdown 3, and on Game Pass, well, it's already going to be discounted for you when since you already are a Game Pass member. That's some other things that PlayStation Now doesn't really offer like that. You see what I'm saying? Especially again with the newer games. It's just
Don is messing with me in the chat about my Halo footage, and I don't like it. That's all I got to say right now.
Man, you might as well just started a fire and roast some marshmallows there, buddy. You were camping
but I was dude, everything was moving around me. I felt like I was like the hole. I was the hole in the donut, and everybody was just moving around me, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna set base here, and I'm just gonna blow stuff up. Is what I did.
I'll let the chat decide.
But guys, I had Mario in my gameplay for the first time. I know, Mega, you got to be impressed with my gameplay so far.
I was. At first, I thought it was maybe some of my gameplay, but I was like, hold on, that's not what I dropped.
No. All right. On that note,
we can do Nintendo shit now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can.
Oh, we can. Okay,
yes.
I'll remember that. Not next week, but the week after that.
I've done Nintendo stuff before. Yeah.
I didn't know because I always thought he'd get flagged for it.
I had to heavily.
No, that's just some of the Japanese games that I bring out.
Yeah, Bandai.
That get to that.
I think it's Bandai, right? Was it
Bandai, mostly
Square?
Bandai game. But you said Final Fantasy got you, and that's
Square.
That's Square.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, but moving on, Knox. Unless you have anything else to say about this, I will have you be the first panel member to tackle the next topic. So what do you think? Anything else to say about Sony and PlayStation Now, or do you want to move on, man?
We can move on.
All right, let's go to this, and I'm actually interested to talk to Knox a little bit about this. Guys, I've been gaming with Knox for a little while now, but we haven't been gaming for a really long time, so I don't know kind of like certain games that he might like or not, but I'm going to see if he likes this franchise. It seems that for people who don't know, Titanfall 3 is still a thing. Respawn put out, they're trying to hire people. Specifically, they're trying to hire the senior animator and build and release manager to work on Titanfall. So for anybody out there who are fans of Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, guys, another one is right around the corner. So Knox, I gotta ask you, dude, first and foremost, were you a Titanfall fan? Did you play either Titanfall 1 or 2 or both? How do you feel about that franchise, man?
I played and owned both 1 and 2, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed part 2, at least its campaign, because part 1 didn't have a campaign, right?
Well, it kind of had one.
I mean, yeah. Loosely, if you want, whatever, you could. it didn't feel like a campaign.
No, you passed
wasn't,
it no matter what, man. Like,
yeah, it wasn't legit. Like part 2 had a legitimate campaign, and it was dope. I did enjoy that. You know, I like part 2 better than 1 in that aspect. The multiplayer in part 1 was a lot better than part 2. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd be excited to see a part 3. That'll be pretty dope. I would like to see that franchise that kind of just like come together all the way. You know what I mean? It's like part 1 had that multiplayer that part 2 didn't have, and then part 2 had that campaign that part 1 didn't have. So maybe they'll get it right now for part 3 and give the best of both worlds to us. You know what I mean? A great campaign and a great multiplayer.
See, I like. Okay, so you say great campaign and a great multiplayer. I'm going to ask you probably to go into a little more detail, because when it comes down to it, it sounds like you would play another Titanfall, when it was released. I thought it was a lot further away, because they are working on a Star Wars title. Respawn's working on a Star Wars title. And for anybody who's in the know, once you start working on a Star Wars,
I'd rather have that then. Bring on Star Wars first.
Well, that's going to drop first, but I guess they are further along in development on the next Titanfall. So, dude, I'm going to put you as the head of that studio. What would you do for Titanfall 3 to kind of like, make it a quality title and possibly progress the franchise, man? I know you said a great single-player story, a great multiplayer. Is there anything you want to kind of, fill out in detail?
I mean, what else can I add to it? You know what I mean? Like, they obviously knew what they wanted, right? The community complained about Titanfall 1, probably because it was exclusive to Xbox, and that's why a lot of the complaints didn't have a campaign, it cost $65 or whatever. But a lot of
dude, that multiplayer was fire though.
That multiplayer was hot. I like that. I even like, that you could kill them little AI dudes that are running around on the field at the same time as actual players.
I did that a lot to build up my points. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody did that. That was pretty dope. I mean, that's all they got to do in part 2. That campaign was off the chain. I don't know about you guys if y'all finished it or not, but that shit was hot.
I didn't finish it. I actually didn't finish the story. Like, I tried to get in there and play it, but I'm like, eh.
They did some pretty hot shit in it that like a lot of first person shooters could borrow from. That whole like warping through time and shit, where you would like teleport from one part to the other just to get through the map. Like you had to find your way through the actual level that way. That shit was hot. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Knox, just 1 second before you kind of fill out your thought here. Yo, Sir X-Man has hit up that super chat again, and he is clowning me right now. My gameplay, he said, I got that from the Soulja Boy console, man. Dude.
Man.
Yo, K-Mega, can we get a messy on that one, man?
Messy.
Yeah,
oh my, that's so messy.
Bot doesn't realize that was a compliment for him.
Even extra messy.
That's
I like it messy.
That's Soulja Boy console.
I know you do.
That Soulja Boy console doing better than that PlayStation Classic, though. I'll tell you that.
Shit
looking better.
Oh, now that's messy. That's real messy right there.
Oh my goodness, yo.
I'm over here looking at Bot's gameplay, man. You got to get better with this. You got to do the combos better, because you got combos.
Dude, I learned from watching you, man, but I got a lot better. You gotta check out my part 2 of my live stream that I did.
Okay, because I mean, yeah, she got a special move and stuff that you can do, and
dude,
she can kick.
I did this thing where I spun around and like I sliced this dude up, and I put my back to him, and I stuck my sword through him, like
right, yeah, okay. I was just saying. I mean, but I see you still in. What do you think about Hellblade so far?
So far, I am a man that I know I'm not right 100% of the time, and I gotta say, this game, seeing how much content is actually in it, because a lot of people told me how like this game is so short and everything like that, and I'm doing like the missions or the trials to put together the sword that's in the tree right now.
Yes.
And I'm like, damn, there are a lot of like little trials all the way around this tree. I was like, there's actually, it was a journey to get there. I got more content to do that. I still have to go and check out Hella again. I'm like, yo, there's actual content in here,
Yeah.
It is definitely, so far as I can see, it is definitely worth $30, man. And it's a fun game. Dude, it is creepy as all hell, too. Man.
It is creepy as all hell. That's why I say this. It makes me very excited about Microsoft acquiring these guys, man. Wow, this game.
Definitely. Yo, let's go to Predator here when it comes to Titanfall. Now, Predator, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you liked the first Titanfall more than the second. Am I right?
I like the online on the first one better than I did the second, but I love the campaign on the second one. It was really good.
See, hell yeah!
All right,
Yeah.
so are you excited that they are going to still kind of move forward with the franchise and do a third one? And then, you know, with that, what would you do, you know, to kind of move the franchise forward if you were in charge to make Titanfall 3, man?
Man, honestly, I would have liked to see a little bit more mech-ish gameplay or gaming, I guess, in Titanfall 2. Going forward into 3, like I really wanted to be in the mech a little bit more, like make that more of a focal point than just the pilot. I know in part 2 you did missions in it, you did missions out of it, but I think they have in part 2, I think they have 5 Titans now instead of just the original 3. Maybe 6. Add some more Titans. You know, that would be pretty cool.
More customization too, man. What about that?
Yeah, that would be great too. Like, you know, different skins and stuff like that. But what I don't want them to do is Call of Duty it, because I see the similarities between both. I'm playing Blackout now. I'm starting to see the similarities of both games. It's just, you know, it just like Titanfall 2 kind of feels like Call of Duty with mechs to me. Like you have, you know, especially the multiplayer. So I don't really want them to go that route. I want them to make it different. I don't want it to be the same type of multiplayer that that Call of Duty is. I love the multiplayer in part 1 a lot better, and I don't know what the difference was. I think maybe it was because like we discussed this before, but like, you know, like in part 2 there's a lot of camping and stuff like that. Part 1, like, dude, you had to move. Like you could not sit still in that fucking game to save your life. There's none of this fucking sitting on a fucking wall sniping people in a building, shit like that. Like you had to move in that game, and it was so fast paced. And I think that's what I loved about it the most, versus part 2. But I really don't want them to just kind of like, you know, loot crate Call of Duty it, you know, like where it just feels like an arcadey shooter.
All right, I can see where you're coming from, and I think a lot of people who played Titanfall 1, when they went in and played Titanfall 2, I think that was their biggest worry right there. It felt like they were going more towards a Call of Duty type game. I know in terms of the multiplayer, building the maps, they went more into that 3-lane kind of like setup that Call of Duty is built on. And a lot of people felt like it was more like exactly like you said, like Call of Duty with mech. So maybe they should steer more towards their whatever they did to build the maps in the first one and kind of build off of that.
By the way, look, when you see this footage right here, this is not camping, unlike your fucking footage earlier.
See, that's how I know the gameplay is good. When I got multiple people talking about my gameplay, trying to tear it down, I know I had some fire gameplay.
We're not tearing it down.
This is Ghost Recon.
It was good camping that you did there, Bob.
This is Ghost Recon, isn't it?
High quality camping is what I did in Halo, and I am proud of it. Okay. Yo, Don. I gotta ask you. You know, EA Titanfall. I believe you got into Titanfall 1. I'm not too sure how you felt about Titanfall 2. Now, we were talking off air. You're like, it was kind of a no-brainer for Titanfall 3 to come out. So I don't think you're really surprised that, you know, they might be further into development or anything. But let us know how you feel about the news and, you know, the hiring that is going on right now. And then what would you do for Titanfall 3 if you were in charge, man?
Well, I think people that have spent their money and actually played the game, it seems to be very consistent that everyone likes the campaign, but they also like the multiplayer one. It felt fresh. It felt new. There's a reason why it, you know, Titanfall 1 sold a lot more than Titanfall 2. A lot more, and it was only on one platform.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I was going to say that, and Titanfall 2 was a multi-plat, so that's crazy right there, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, so there's elements from both that I think they're worth taking from. But, yeah, this isn't any news. I think we talked about it before, and, you know, I'm privileged to things, but I knew for a fact they were in pre-production last year, and we talked about Titanfall, and there were some rumors that it was in pre-production because we knew they were working on the Star Wars title that's going to be released for the new Titanfall. And I said right on the show that it was in pre-production, and here we're almost a year later, or a little less than a year later, we're finding out they're hiring for that particular project. So it's not in pre-production anymore. They're actually working on the product. I would imagine the product, we don't know what they were shooting for as far as time frame goes, but I'm pretty sure what they really originally were hoping for got a little bit delayed because there is a group of people that did leave Respawn, and then you also have the main scout for Respawn. Actually, Microsoft scooped them up for the initiative, so she works for the initiative now. So
by scout, what do you mean? Do they like go out and like get developers and try to get them to join like that studio?
Yeah, they're actively finding people,
like a sports scout, basically.
Very similar, yeah.
Oh, wow.
In regards to that, so that's kind of what she. That's what I say. Like, if you ask me what's the best hire over at the initiative, it's her.
Is it that blonde, the blonde with the short hair?
Well, I don't know what she looks like, but
okay.
But I know where her pedigree and where she came from. So, yeah, that was the best hire for them because that's what allows them to kind of scale up the company as needed and get the talent that you need. And that kind of slows down a big company like Respawn in regards to that. So I mean,
so you're saying that like from their original plans, they might be delayed a little bit. Now, I'm looking that they're working on Star Wars. I think they're pretty much ready. They're at least kind of like in the fourth quarter of development on Star Wars. I'm thinking that would come out 2020. So I'm thinking
I wouldn't be surprised if you see it on someone's stage, which probably there's only one stage that's going to be out there.
Yeah, slim pickings on stages for E3, man.
There's really only 2 stages they can show up on. I wouldn't be. I would be more shocked if the Star Wars title we didn't see it this 2019 calendar E3. To be honest with you, so
I mean that would be a good setup for, late 2019 or 2020 for the game to drop. So I'm thinking if Titanfall 3 is further along in production, I'm thinking maybe holiday 2021.
Well, think on the Star Wars product to understand Titanfall. You have to understand what their current project is going to be released sooner, and most likely, what I heard is they're going to have an Anthem-like type strategy with releasing their new Star Wars title. So what that means, you can extrapolate whatever you want, but that's what I've been told. Okay. So that could be means they can show it on Microsoft's big stage, or you can show it on their stage, and they reserve the right to delay it into the following year. Who knows what that really, really means? But they feel comfortable showing it that far out, from what I understand. So.
I got you. Yo, huge shout out to Face23, Brooklyn, New York. He basically says that Titanfall 1 sold more than 2 because of the bad release date for Titanfall 2. It was sandwiched in between Call of Duty and Battlefield. And, when I looked into it, I think that was one of the things that I thought of when it came to Titanfall 3 is possibly give it a better release window as well. But
I think we talked about it releasing in January or February would have been a much better time when people were kind of sick and want something fresh, the Call of Duty crowd, to kind of really pull that crowd away.
Yeah.
In regards to that. But, to each his own. Live and learn, and companies are going to make mistakes. They have to make bold choices, and sometimes it seems obvious to the rest of us and not so obvious to them. And sometimes when they make choices, everyone thinks they did the wrong choice, and in reality, actually, they did the right choice, and they did a lot better than people realize. So, in this particular case, it just didn't do as well as the first one.
I got you. And I also think if we look into it, I can almost guarantee that, when it came to Xbox gamers, gamers that have played the original Titanfall, I think if they got into the beta for Titanfall 2, I think that kind of got them to think twice about getting the game as well.
It did work against them because I remember talking to people about that, and they were kind of unsure about the project after they played it because
at the core they built it like a Call of Duty, which it changed like the whole pace of the game. You had campers and stuff like that, which you never really had in the original Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a month of trying to figure out what the hell is going on with the game, right? And then I think everyone kind of came to that same consistency where, like, hey, it seems like they're pulling advice from people that that weren't fans of the first one, and it was try to grab that Call of Duty crowd. So
yeah, I got you. Now, Mega. I believe you played both Titanfalls. I know you are a gamer that likes to play a bunch of games. What do you think about this, Titanfall 3 kind of being in further development? I thought, usually, I think when a studio is working on a Star Wars, that, like, they're just pretty much doing a Star Wars until that's done, and then they move on to a project. But it looks like Respawn, broke off a little group and started getting development here. How would you feel about a Titanfall 3 coming out? And then, what would you do if you were in charge of this project to make it a great game, man?
Well, I mean, it's their baby, and it was something that got Respawn on the map, and it got so much backlash because of a combination of things. One was the whole blue disc is prettier than green deal.
Oh damn, I forgot about that.
The
too.
release, the release, the date.
There's a lot of drama, man.
Right, and Zappella going back, and doubling down on his comments, and just being kind of like going against a lot of people that. A lot of gamers that supported their game, and then when you go and you played the beta got a lot of backlash because it absolutely did play. It played really slow at the time, and so they sped it up by the time that it was released, but it still had that COD feel. And again, when you had COD and you had Battlefield 1 that was right there, and I think everybody can remember that Battlefield 1 trailer. That music with that trailer was the most epic thing ever. Everybody was on that hype than what was going on with Titanfall 2, and it just fell flat on its face. And it was unfortunate because it's a good game. The story, like everybody said, it was fire. It was a little slow at first for me. It seemed like it was going to be a little campy, my robot, human relationship. But then, BT, I think it was, what is it, BT? I forgot what his name was. But once it got to the point,
man, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. But once you got to the point to where you started doing the time warp stuff, like there was this one level where where everything in time stopped, and you had to jump to different parts up through the warping stuff. That was really dope. Like, and also the villain was dope. The villains, but I liked it. I really did get into the story after a certain point, and so they can keep building on that. And but for the multiplayer, they have to bring it back to the roots. I do agree that they need more variation of Titans. They were doing that in 2, and they did do some of the cool customizations by putting different stickers and things like that, because me and 100 would play it a lot, for a couple, for months, and every once in a while we just get in there and we just have a play session of playing the multiplayer. And the multiplayer was fun, but it didn't feel like the original. The original was just so different. It was fast paced. It was all in your face, high octane fun. And this seemed like, you got to watch what you're doing when you're trying to do the high octane. If you don't have the right weapon, you'll get sniped, or you could get, killed by some kind of assault rifle or some kind of weird gadget. It felt off at times. But for me, I would definitely go back to the roots when it comes to the multiplayer, different variations of the bots. Plus, also have a mode to where it's just bots only, and just humans only. That was something that was in the first one, I believe.
Well, it wasn't in there in the beginning, but eventually they added a lot to it. Right.
And also a better variation of maps. Like that, like even with both Titanfalls, the map selections were very limited. The first one you kind of understood because it was the first game, and it didn't.
I totally agree with that too.
But the second one, it seemed like it should have had even more maps on top of bringing more variations to customizations to the bot to your robot, and also it just seemed like it was limited. I think they kind of stopped making the stuff that they wanted to do because the game wasn't as successful as it was supposed to be. So yeah, I think this is their baby. They need to go gun ho on this. There's a reason why EA picked them up. It was a smart move by EA. So let Respawn do them and then get to the Star Wars game afterwards. I'm looking forward to it because I do enjoy Titanfall. I really do.
All right, brother. All right. I think we basically covered this whole Titanfall 3 thing. If you are a Titanfall fan out there, I hope you are excited. I'm thinking around 2021 or so, but we might get more information. 2021 is not really that far away. I've noticed that time just keeps picking up speed. Like a year is over in like a flash. So before you know it, you will have another Titanfall on the verge of being released. Let's hope that they work on the multiplayer. I love what K-Mega said in terms of the variety of maps, because I think that is something that they can definitely work on. I think we were universal across the board in terms of the multiplayer. Bring it back to its roots. Whatever you did to build those maps from the first Titanfall, go back to that way of building it up, because it was a lot more fun. It was faster paced. We didn't have to really worry about campers. The maps weren't there for people to camp with, and it was really cool that we had that type of game. Multiplayer. Shout out to Sir X-Man. Hit up that super chat again, my brother. Yo, the support is absolutely amazing. He says Ace Combat releases January 18th. Basically, he's saying no one's talking about it. That is a great thing to bring up. Yo, anybody on the panel, do you have any ideas why nobody's talking about another Ace Combat? It's a franchise that's been around for a while.
Games right now. Ace Combat is coming out at a bad time when you have so many, where everybody's prepped for Resident Evil 2, Kingdom Hearts 3. Hell, Jump Force. There's just so many games that's coming out in January.
Anthem in February.
February, yeah. Tales of Vesperia remake. Ace Combat. It's great for it to come out, but I don't think that's going to be a lot of people's number one game to get. It's going to be like one of those games that people are going to be waiting for towards the end of the year or towards like a summer sale or something like that to pick up, because there's just it's too much of an onslaught of games that's out.
Dude, I could definitely see that. I gotta say, UK Daz, moderator of the year, has been I think he's taking the role of the troll in the chat, because he said that Predator's gameplay was dear God. He's saying what's Ace Combat, but anybody else on the panel, do you have any ideas as to why nobody's really talking about Ace Combat releasing in January? Anybody?
It's never been a huge game.
That is true. That is true. And
it was bigger in the I think PlayStation 1 days. It was a bigger deal then.
Yeah.
And then it slowly fell out of popularity, and it just never picked up that momentum, at least here in the States, to be the next big thing. So it just gets overlooked.
And then it's Namco too, man. So it's not like they're really evolving their franchise that much anyway. It's not making any noise. That's why nobody's talking about it, bro.
It's a good looking game. It doesn't look bad at all.
All these comments.
I used to like that back in the PlayStation days and shit. I haven't played one in a long time, bro.
So why did you fall out?
Of Ace Combat?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I just kind of stopped paying attention to them. They felt a little repetitive. I had the first few. It was a while ago too, man. It was a long time ago. I had 1 and 2, I think, and I pretty much stopped playing them after that, man. I think I tried to get the sequel after that. I just wasn't feeling it anymore. It's been a long time. I would definitely check it out. I'll look into an Ace Combat, but probably something like
they gotta put it on Game Pass.
Yeah, they could do that too. But, like a bargain bin type of thing. You bored one day. Oh shit, Ace Combat 7 costs $17. Yeah, all right.
Well, I mean, that's what services like Game Pass actually. I mean, all jokes aside, that's like good services that Game Pass do. At least
you want to see some Halo gameplay? Here you go.
Or did you bring marshmallows?
There's Xbot right there. Look, there's Xbot running up there. Look, boom.
Damn,
look,
how old is this gameplay, brother?
Oh my goodness.
How old is this gameplay, brother? Oh, my gameplay came from this past week. How old is this?
Look at that.
Guys, he knows how he's not answering right now. Yo.
Oh, I got more. I got more that's coming.
Yo, but check this out. When it comes to Ace Combat, I was a big fan of flight simulators when playing like F-22 Interceptor, even Airwolf on like Genesis and stuff like that. I feel like that genre, first off, I feel like it's not a genre that gets a lot of hype nowadays. There's not a lot of games that come out, so you'd figure that, you know, the few that do come out might get a little more hype or whatnot, but for some rhyme or reason, it doesn't get a lot of hype. And if you think about it, where's the marketing for the game as well? Because you know, if you didn't say that, I didn't see a release date. That game wasn't even on my radar. Like, I haven't seen it around, and I think a lot of it has to do with the marketing. The publisher is not putting it out there that much, in my opinion.
They had like a dev diary thing a couple of days ago. I saw some footage of it, but that was the first I've heard of that game, and you know, wow.
Shit, it's like E3, bro. Like since E3, I haven't heard anything from Ace Combat.
Well, Sir X said Ace and Hawk were big on the 360, and dude, yeah, that's true. They were pretty big on the 360, but that last generation also lasted so long. We have had such a huge gap in between, and there hasn't been anything really filling in that gap in between. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Shout out to Face23 Brooklyn, New York, hitting up that super chat. He said, what's our thoughts on Spider-Man becoming the fastest selling superhero game in United States history? He says, happy holidays to everyone on the panel and in the chat. I'll take this first. I mean, when it comes down to it, Spider-Man, you know, with the hype that's going on with Marvel right now, with the movies and everything like that, we all knew Spider-Man was going to sell well. It was a game that dropped at the right time. My personal opinions on the game, it's not going to take away, you know, a lot of people that are out there buying it and playing it. You know, if you enjoy it, more power to you. I am a huge Spider-Man fan in terms of the comic books, and I thought, you know, Insomniac could have done more, could have tried to, you know, push the envelope a little bit in terms of villains and stuff like that. But I think it was just the perfect time for them to drop that game. I don't know. What do you guys think? Predator, what do you think about Spider-Man becoming fastest selling superhero game in United States history?
I don't even know like what his competition was, to be honest with you. Like,
well, you got what, Batman, Arkham?
Probably Batman. Yep.
Yeah, Batman. Yeah, I take it that way. But I don't know, man. I have the game. I've barely played it. I just wasn't into it. But
and Mooch can't stop playing it, man. I don't know what it is.
It's one of those like either you like it or you don't, you know, type games. I just could not get into it. My stepson's here. He's been playing the shit out of it. He's you know, platinumed it, and I can't get past like, you know, 2 hours of the game. So I don't know. It's hit or miss. I think Spider-Man, like a lot of people like the character, but like with the, and I'm not into, I hear you vaping. I'm not into the whole Marvel, Capcom, not Marvel, but Marvel, you know, DC universe like some of you guys are. But like Spider-Man is one of the only games besides Batman that have really come out. Like there's so many other characters. Where are their games at? You know, I don't know how those games would do with the current generation.
A Black Panther video game, man. It's what we need, like badly, yo. To go in stealth and everything like that with that awesome character. I've been a huge fan of Black Panther ever since like I was small, like reading comic books and stuff like that growing up. Yo, a Black Panther video game would be amazing if done right. By the way, like you can't just throw it together. But like stealth mechanics, superhero, you know, abilities, you got the super strength, agility, and stuff like that. That would be an awesome game, yeah.
I could think of a lot of games they could make single player, like, you know, type other than just Batman and Spider-Man, but they haven't made them yet. So You know,
Yeah.
they're usually fighting games. You know, like that's about all we get. We don't get a lot of those like Wonder Woman or fucking Black Panther or Captain America, like full up, you know, single player where they get to fight all the bosses and enemies in the game. Like we don't see that. It's just been Batman and Spider-Man, to be honest with you.
Here's what we need, Preb. We need Aquaman, open world, over the shoulder, third person. Action.
With the same lighting from Uncharted, the same textures from God of War, man. Let's do it. Yeah.
No, I joke. You know, I'm glad they're doing well, and they're. Anytime you have a good superhero, you want to make sure they get their good justice. You know, as far as like a good game and that sort of thing. But this kind of frightens me. Like if you look in the movie industry, right? Like they've all fallen into the tropes of comic book movies, which is good. We get good comic book movies and we're able to enjoy those. But that's kind of all we get. And I feel like in the gaming world, there's not enough studios to support all the comic book characters that they're just regularly popular. And I don't want to see the game industry turn into a bunch of comic book games. That's just me personally. So it's like it's bitter and it's sweet. Like I'm glad they're doing well. It's a good game. I played it. I enjoyed it. But the same token, I just don't want the industry to fall into that trope.
Well, yeah, because with the comic books, you know, with certain characters, you have a certain set of abilities, you have a certain origin story and stuff like that. And I think what you're saying is you don't want them to use that as a crutch to develop kind of like mass-produced games and kind of stifle creativity, right?
Well, yeah, if you look at the industry just in general, right, like, you know, all the new IPs are being created in video games. Mm-hmm. Right, so we're getting all these new characters and these new worlds and these new things to enjoy. I don't want that to go away because I don't feel like we've ran out of shortage of ideas.
Daz, you crazy, man. My bad, yeah. I'm in the chat. You crazy, dude.
He's had one too many beers tonight. But I mean, you get. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, a me concern, that sort of thing. But you know, I want them to exist, but at the same token, I don't want them to exist and overtake the creativity that we're getting in the game industries, because it is one of those spaces where we're getting new stuff that we're not getting in other entertainment industries.
All right, I got you, man. And I mean, in the end, I don't think it's gonna take over. We have seen a bunch of success from new IPs or whatnot. But Knox, what do you think about this news? The Spider-Man PS4 exclusive becomes the fastest selling you know, superhero video game in U.S. history, man.
Man, I mean, it's not really anything unexpected, really. I mean, that's great for it. I'm glad, you know, if there's a franchise that's going to do
Knox is pissed right now. Like the developers of the past Spider-Mans, they're like, oh, you know what? Screw you, man.
I mean, it's Spider-Man, and it was done by Insomniac, and from what I'm hearing, it's an awesome game. You know, everyone that I know that has played it really enjoys it. I mean, you know, that I know, you know, personally, they love the game. I'm still waiting for it to hit the bargain bin before I grab it up. But
it'll be there soon, trust me.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out. I like superhero games. You know, like Don's worry, I don't think that will ever happen because they don't make good enough superhero games, to be honest, for that shit to happen. You know, like besides Batman and the Injustice series, you know, I mean, I would have loved for Deadpool to be a good game. You know what I mean?
Let me add a little spice.
And the Lego superhero games are all right.
So Disney is actually going after top tier studios.
Yeah.
So there's only so many top tier studios. So that's where I'm coming from.
To develop games for game development.
I see what you're saying with Disney and their kind of like deep wallet and they're kind of like committing to get these superhero games out, trying to grab up these top tier studios to develop them. You're hoping that doesn't kind of like create like a choke point in terms of creativity for new IPs and stuff like that, because Disney's going to be hiring everybody to do their superhero games.
Yeah, let me speak to like Knox and Bot in particular, right? You guys both like Destiny. Once if you find out Bungie's not working on another Destiny, but they're working on a comic book game,
I'm not buying it.
So regardless if you're not playing the comic book game, you want to buy the other product.
Knox only likes the Bungie games so he could complain about them. So he doesn't want them making a superhero game that they they possibly do good, he can't complain about.
Well, the first question is, does Bungie still work for Activision? You know,
I don't even want to talk about what I've heard behind the scenes, but yeah, there's trouble in paradise. I would say that.
You can definitely tell that business relationship is definitely heavily strained right now, man. Between Bungie and Activision, you can tell just by the way they talk about kind of like each other and the business side of things. You can tell there's like no love between the two companies anymore. Yeah.
I mean, one person's paying the bills and the other person is putting out product. I mean, that's just, I think they've accepted their relationship and left it at that.
All I'm saying is, right, like, I would love to see, like somebody brought up Captain America. That would be, to see a nice, superhero game done with Captain America. It doesn't have to be just a good game. Let me stop saying superhero, but a Captain America game based on Captain America with an excellent story, open world, some great gameplay, some nice features, some nice mechanics. That'll be great. As long as they don't oversaturate the market with anything. I mean, look at first-person shooters, right? People are sick of first-person shooters. That's all they put out. They're not even.
Speak for yourself, buddy. No,
well, look, all I'm saying, there's a lot of people, right, that complain about story-driven games. Like nowadays, it's almost like gamers don't want to play those anymore. For some, not me, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of diehard people, but like the masses, for some reason, it's like, oh my God, Red Dead has too much story, or The Witcher has too much story. For me, there could never be too much story as long as it's told well. When they put the quality into it, the great acting, and awesome gameplay to go along with it, and awesome stories to be told. You can have great acting and a shit story is no good. But once all of that comes together, that shit to me is awesome. I like that.
Tell me if you agree with me on this, Knox, that gaming gives the opportunity to tell a different type of story in its own format that books and movies just simply can't. I mean, if you look at Red Dead, that story really only works in that format. People will start walking out of the theaters if you took that long to get to the main point of it. But what they're trying to do is
50-hour movie. Here we go.
But what they're trying to do is get you invested in those characters, right? And that only works when you're interacting and you're part of a world.
Worked like the 50-hour movie. It kind of worked for games like Detroit, though, right?
Those things, but because for games that's different. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's different. For games that's going to be awesome. Like I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? I really like the game. So Mega, when you're ready, go pick that up because it's a hot game.
I already got Odyssey. I'm just.
But sometimes, man, some of that dialogue, bro, be getting me tight. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh, on Odyssey.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in The Witcher, dude. When the Witcher, I could sit back, bro. Shit, light up a fucking L and be go ahead, talk all day, Garrett. You and the Butcher can talk. Y'all could sit there, or just the way he interacts with the King, the Red Baron. That whole, oh my God, that shit was crazy.
The Red Baron, yeah,
the Bloody Baron, the
Bloody Baron. Yeah, the Red Baron shit.
Just that interaction, that whole
quest was just that was ill. Like that could have been a game itself.
Yeah,
like that was sick.
Well, yo, Mega, what do you think about the whole Spider-Man? In terms of being the fastest selling superhero game in the United States in history, man. You about to shoot the praises out there for Insomniac? What's up, man?
Yeah, no, congratulations. I mean, that's great. That means there's a sequel coming for sure. And I went ahead and I went ahead and copped it the other day. It was on sale for $49 for the whole deluxe. So I was like, let me go ahead. I haven't played it yet. I'll probably play it sometime next year, but I'll just put it in the backlog because it never was something that just captivated my interest like that. I don't ever really fall for the hype.
I was praising that game before it was released, man. I'm like, yo, this is gonna be hot and everything like that. I get in and I play it for a while and I'm like,
love hate. It's a love hate.
Got me angry, man.
I know, and that's crazy for you to even to make you even put down. I mean, to give up the PlayStation. That's wild. But I mean, look, it's just one of those things. Like I have my PlayStation. I'm happy of having my purchase of it. But the fact of it is that I play on my Xbox 85% of the time. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You know, and when I do want to play on my PlayStation, it is going to be like for a Spider-Man, God of War, something like that. But you know, it's a great feat, and obviously that it's time for these comic book games to stop being ass and start getting on the same wavelength as Batman, and also with what Spider-Man has done.
Yeah, it's definitely a good trend coming up now, though.
Yeah, and especially with the rumors about the new Batman, and it's supposed to be the what is that, the story of the owls or whatever, something, the Court of the Owls.
Yeah, the Court of Owls.
That's going to be ill, because
and you know what? Let me stop you real quick. And for someone like me who's not into comics, the video game portion of it might draw me in, because I can actually get the whole story through the video game versus have to go through and read 1,000 fucking comics and
that's how they get you
online. Yeah, I don't know, the whole Court of Owls thing. I've never heard of this before, because again,
it is amazing. I was new to it. I went on a Boom's show one morning, and they got into it, and I started reading.
I was with you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I was reading it, and while I was like, what have I been missing? What's wrong with me? Like, it's sick. Like, so yeah, it got me really hyped, because when they were talking about the whole Batman thing, I was wanting more about Batman Beyond. I know about Batman Beyond. You know what I'm saying? So, but not about the Court of the Owl. So yeah, this is a good precedent for the for future superhero games to follow suit and do the right thing. Like, I mean, also with Deadly Alliance 3, I mean, not Deadly Alliance, the Avengers game that's going to be exclusive on Nintendo. Ultimate Alliance 3. That looks like that's going to be dope. So it's about time. I do agree that Xbox needs its own exclusive superhero game.
Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, well, I say X-Men. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it doesn't matter. Bring somebody.
I thought EA,
I mean, shit, if you want to bring Howard the Duck, bring some fucking body. That's all I care about. Like, just bring something. You know what I'm saying? So it just would be. I just think it would be a good look for the Xbox community to have their own version, and then mix and match and bring the rest as multiplats and go from there. While PlayStation, you got to give kudos to PlayStation for. I mean, well, it's just Sony for themselves for locking down the Spider-Man franchise. So, you know, they got a nice deal.
It's nice when you could kind of put that in the deal when it comes to Spider-Man movies or whatever.
They might not be getting paid for it, but hey, you know what I'm saying? That thing is the thing that they you know what I'm saying, it's a success. So
yeah, no doubt, man. Well, speaking of success, we do know next generation is right around the corner, and you know, I've gone out there and I said, you know, once we hit 2019, the rumors of the hardware and leaks and everything like that was going to start to go crazy. And they actually started going crazy before 2019. We're starting to hear things about PlayStation 5 in terms of, you know, what's under the hood when it comes to that. With the supposed leaks, like from Brad Sams from on Thoreau, from, you know, Windows Central, the website that our boy Jez does articles on and stuff like that, it seems that Microsoft is going a different direction, and a lot of people are talking about 4 SKUs, 4 different Xboxes, and with different code names. Now, let me just break it down for you. The code names. The most popular one right now, you can check it out on Twitter, a lot of people have snakes in their names, is Anaconda. And what Anaconda is supposed to be is that all-powerful traditional console for next-gen. It's next-gen hardware, supposedly you know, dropping 2020 or beyond. And that's supposed to be the one that has the most power underneath the hood. But not only that, they also have what they're calling an arcade version. Now, again, I'm going to say these are rumors and supposed leaks. So we don't know necessarily if they're true, but usually if Brad Sams and Windows Central are talking about this, it gives it a little more of a foundation than, you know, just out any random website or whatnot. Because these guys, they do have people inside Xbox, inside Microsoft, and they do get quality information. But in terms of a arcade version that's slightly more powerful than the X we have now, they have it codenamed Lockhart, right? Then they have another SKU that is supposed to be a console with no disc tray, and it's strictly for streaming, which they're calling codename Maverick. But then there is another piece of hardware that is supposed to release in 2019 that is, in fact, an Xbox One S without a disc tray, but it's for digital download and then I guess possibly streaming as well. So a lot of people are out there talking about, 4 different pieces of hardware. Is that too much? Is that going to confuse the consumer? Let's start with Pred on this one. Pred, I know you get into this news, and I know you've probably seen, these articles with the different code names and everything like that. I got to ask you, from what we've seen in these supposed rumors and leaks, does this sound like the right way to go when it comes to introducing new hardware, possibly a new generation when it comes to console gaming, man? Is Microsoft doing something that you think would be successful?
Yes and no. I can see this working against them, especially with the way the media has spun things in the past. It's too confusing. There's too much out, and for the average Joe walking into Best Buy to pick up a video game console, you walk in there and there's a original Xbox One display out there still, and then you have the X, the S, and these 3 things, and this 4th one now you're talking about, like, if they're still on the shelves at the same fucking time, because I shit you not, I have seen the original Xbox One in the wild on a display recently. It's still out there in some places. So, imagine walking into a store and seeing 6 fucking consoles, somewhere. Like, I can see, it being spun the wrong way. But
be like, would you like Maverick, Lockhart, or Anaconda? Like, which one?
Yeah, or the original S, the X, or the original Xbox One. Like, so, like, I can see, like, this is Microsoft marketing at its worst. Like, get rid of this old shit that's out there. If you're going to come up with a new product, because when I go get a new phone, guess what I'm not seeing? The old fucking phone. They get this shit out, they recall it or whatever, so they can get the new product out there. Microsoft didn't do that. Like I said, there's still original Xbox Ones out there in the wild and display models in places. So, fix the fucking marketing if you're going to do this. Like, get all that old product off the shelves, stop selling it, ask for it back, do what you got to do, sell that shit for fucking $1.
Can I have it back, please?
Yeah, sell that shit for a fucking $1. I don't give a fuck what you do. Get rid of it, right? And then put your new product up there. Well, so let's say we get 4 products, right? We get 4, right? We were talking about this behind the scenes. They may not all launch in the same fucking day.
Well, see, that's exactly, Pred, I know where you're going with this, and that's what I wanted to say. What if there's something I think we need to clarify here, that a lot of people out on social media they're kind of taking advantage of the whole 4 SKU thing, and they're trying to say, like, they're all dropping at the same time. From what I've seen, right, 2019, you get the discless Xbox One S, and possibly the streaming box in 2019, and then the kind of like arcade and the pro version of the next generation of hardware in 2020. Now, if they stagger it like 2 SKUs in 2019, 2 SKUs in 2020, do you think that would be a better kind of like business model to do this whole thing, man?
I still don't think that's good. Like,
really,
people like I want the big boy first. Give me the expensive product and step me down. And then I threw a twist in this earlier when we were talking offline. What if the 2 SKUs are just 2 different, iterations? Like, it's just a different color. Like, it's a Scorpion, not Scorpion.
Project Scorpio.
Yeah, the Scorpio edition versus the original, the Xbox One X, the plain one. Like, maybe one has a different hard drive and they're mixing SKUs. I don't know that. We kind of talked about this before, but like, those 2 SKUs could be the same fucking product, just with different materials in them. Like, it could be a bigger hard drive, or it could be a different color, or it could be just like a custom edition. Like, we don't know.
Dude, so I'm hearing the Anaconda could possibly have a solid state hard drive in it.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That could be your 2 SKUs right there. Solid state hard drive and a fucking 1 terabyte hard drive. So.
Well, no, they're saying that the arcade version is going to be like, slightly more powerful than the X, and there are rumors. Again, I want to say rumors, guys, because none of this has been kind of like verified yet. But something about like the codename Anaconda running at like 13 T-flops or something like that. So this thing significantly more powerful than what you're dealing with now. So take it for what it is. But you don't think this would necessarily? I'm a little kind of I was on the whole thing about forwards compatibility, right? And I thought they would come out with one, possibly 2 SKUs, one being the traditional console, one being the streaming box, and then if you can't get any of those, you can still have like the Xbox One X, and you can still play the new games that are coming out with forwards compatibility. Predator, if all this is true, do you still think that they would do that forwards compatibility where you can play the newer games on like the Xbox Ones?
Yeah, I think that's where Phil is wanting to go, where everything, no matter what device you have, what console you have, that game works. It's kind of like PCs. Like I can have a shitty PC and play a game with shitty frame per second, or I can upgrade a different PC or a brand new PC and put different components in it and still play that same game with better, better resolution, frame rates, et cetera, et cetera. So I can see that happening. I think Phil's kind of commented on that in the past.
All right. To me, it's just like, well, all like the newer hardware, I think like it would drown out the forwards compatibility feature if they do go forward with it. But I don't know. I mean, it could work. I am a little more kind of like confident if they do 2 SKUs in 2019 and then kind of like the Big Daddy and the arcade version in 2020. K-Mega, I'm going to ask you your thoughts and opinions, and then I am going to hand the reins over to you because I have to make a quick pit stop, man. But let the people know how you feel about this whole 4 SKU thing, possibly within 2 years, if you think it'll work, and how, man.
Well, I do think that it'll work, but I do agree with Fred. I've been agreeing with Fred a lot today. I've got some bad shit.
Are you feeling okay?
Not really, but I do agree that they have to discontinue the Fat and the original S immediately after they drop, or even way before that they drop the new S version, which is Lockhart, and the and whatever else that they're going to drop. Because if they still got those in the wild, and that was one thing that we thought, and I know that I was touting this last year, that hey, look, this is what they're going to promote the hell out of the X. They're going to start getting new kiosks out there, and we're going to start seeing games being played in like GameStop and other places being played off the X. And he's right. You still walk into a GameStop or into a Best Buy, they still have the Fat running, or the TV is off and they got the PlayStation running. So again, you have to have somebody out there to clean that shit up, get it out of there, Jack, move it around. The only way that you can the only way people will know about the S is if you do that through your Xbox store. That's it. Or Microsoft store. That's it, to where they can order it and not have to go to some mortal store and buy it. That it has to be eradicated. So the thing of it is that, look, I think the strategy is sound. I think what they're doing with Xbox now is turning it into a new version of the Steam machine and what it was supposed to be.
Oh, but so, I was gonna say the Steam machine didn't do too good though.
No, but like I said, this is there was too many hands in the pot with the Steam machines for what Steam was trying to do. There was too many people involved. Here, this is Microsoft doing their own thing. Now, what you got to do is, if you want to have people to have all these type of options, because I mean, yeah, you could have the S out there on to look online, or like I said, go through the Xbox store or whatever, and hardware, and see that there's a 99 version of another $99 version for an S. That'll attract some people. You know what I'm saying? That's a good Christmas gift for a nephew or something like that, or whatever. But the fact of it is that you want to show off the big stuff first. So I do agree with.
They're going to do that though,
and I don't think they're going to do that either. But you have to heavily advertise if you're not going to do that. But you have to heavily advertise the big stuff. You see, you know what I'm saying? The little stuff is what people kind of stumble up on. You want people to get to be enticed by this behemoth called the Anaconda, or whatever it's going to be called.
And I think they're looking at it differently. Hold on. Stop the presses. Our brother Italian Clowns from Four Guys is in the chat right now. What is up, my brother? But I feel like Xbox, they look at it kind of like the direct opposite. They're putting out the things that might not necessarily take off right away, but might take off over time. And then they're waiting for, kind of like when you go to a concert, you have the openers that people will be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? They might get into the people that are opening up, but the main event is what comes at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I get that. Like, I mean,
I gotta agree with K Mega on this. You go all out advertising the big boy, and then when they're in the store, if they don't like the price, they don't like what they're already interested, right? You got them in there, you got the commercials going, you got them. Oh, that shit looks fire. That's hot. I want that. They go to the store, they don't like the price. Hey, we got the rattlesnake over, whatever the hell code name you want.
We have a console for you.
Rattlesnake.
Yeah, hey,
the grass snake.
Yeah, here we go. We got the little creepy crawler here. Take this one.
Did Knox just call it Cobra Commander?
Yeah, there we go. We got Zartan. We got this. You want some Pantor or you want Cobra Commander? Which one you want?
Exactly. That's how you do that. Either you go, but when they walk into the store, they need to be walking over there to get that Anaconda, kid. That's what they need to be. That's what they gotta do.
You're right, and that's the thing right there that makes it even that. Like I said, I agree with Pred. Is that look? You want to show this now. The perfect thing that they did with presenting the S and the X, they brought the S out first, and people jumped all over that, and then they was like, oh wow, the X, and then they showed the X, and people were all anticipating, started saving money for the X, or whatever, however they did it. But you had two different demographic of people. This is like I said last night on GRG, was that my homeboy Flip, he has the S, he doesn't have the X yet, and he and look, that's his prerogative, whatever the case may be. But I feel that for him, he just isn't ready to spend $500 for an X, and he's comfortable with that. So you'll have an audience for this new for the Lockhart. The thing of it is that you got to have some kind of incentive in order to let people get rid of their Xbox One S's, their Xbox One Fats. So you got to do either one, discontinue those bastards, or you got to have some great deals in order for them to entice people to trade those in for the Lockhart and for the Anaconda to come, or even maybe for the new discless.
But what's the point of that if it's backwards and forwards compatible?
Well, I know, I get that, but I mean, it's just the enticement of just wanting to have people to have the newer technology, because they did say even with this. With the streaming, with the little streaming box, and then the this discless Xbox, whatever, that it's going to hit 1080p on every game and 1440p on other games. So I mean, look, I mean, we seen the embarrassment when it came to the S, when they showed Red Dead comparable to the X and to the PlayStation 4. I have brought up that notion about, like, just think if there was no X around and we were still having the S, and when they in Digital Foundry showed those clips of Red Dead and how it was running, it would have been, there was nothing but we just had to get our asses kicked by everybody else for that type of mockery. So it's just time to get rid of the S, get rid of the fat, and move on to the future. I know that they're not going to do that, but I just think it'd be the best solution. Oh no, yeah, they do. They do. They
got to be very aggressive.
They're
gonna miss on two of those though.
I do, just for this mere reason. There was somebody that brought it up last night. I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Welsh Gamer because he was on the show last night, and he said that Aaron Greenberg was kind of like how Phil was about how this whole power narrative was, and how it takes time for all this stuff to come out and to be leaked and stuff like that. But that Xbox, said they felt embarrassed about the whole power thing. Well, then Aaron Greenberg must have said, and I don't know, that's what Welsh said, that they were pretty much embarrassed about how their marketing was this generation. And so by this time, when the new stuff comes out, their marketing is going to be on point. And he's absolutely right that they have to do that. But the pricing, look, I know. And so the pricing, I don't have a problem with the pricing. I think that Xbox is going to undercut like a motherfucker on this one. I do. I think they're going to. I think they're going to undercut. I think that they're going to do the same thing that PlayStation did to Xbox. I think that they're going to be a little bit aggressive on this, but it is about the marketing, and that's the one thing I am a little nervous on. Oh, man.
Well, you know they love cutting corners, putting the shit parts on this. So yeah,
that motherfucker gonna be looking pretty on your TV.
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna give you all of your
headphones.
6 megabytes a second, even though you pay for 200. You know how they do.
That is gonna purr, baby.
You guys don't want to know what I did to my PS4 Pro.
The UI is going to be awesome.
What did you do to your Pro, Don?
I added liquid cooling to it, cut a big hole into the case, and it's quiet now. I can play it at night.
You can't trade that.
No goat's milk. I only save that for the really powerful rigs.
Cambodian goats, the Cambodian yak milk. That's what it is.
No. I went with blue because it was PlayStation.
My bad, people.
Yeah.
Damn it! I think I had some quality things I said in there, but Don, what do you think about you? And I'm gonna say it again. I'm probably gonna say it another 50 million times, like when you're coming on to shows and stuff like that. But you are a developer, and I like getting kind of like a little insight into the mind of a developer. What do you think about where they're going with this whole kind of like 4 SKU thing? And I think you thought of something a little bit different than what we were talking about, like off air. So maybe you would want to let people know what you're thinking in terms of the staggering of these SKUs and whatnot, man.
Yeah, I don't think they're all coming out at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if the two that you were originally talking about, the diskless and the Stream 1 comes out in the same year, and then we get like the next iteration above the X, and then we get the Anaconda variant after that a year later, kind of like how we saw from the S to the X and how those were staggered releases.
All right, so I want to clarify. So you think possibly 2019 the Stream box and the digital box come out, 2020 kind of like the arcade version of the new console comes out, and then like 2021 is when that powerful kind of like juggernaut console comes out?
Well, here's the thing. You keep calling it the arcade one, but it's going to kick the Xbox X's ass, and I ain't no slouch. So, I mean, it's going to be a powerful thing. It's a little
more powerful, not like...
Define a little more powerful.
Right. Please do.
I think from what I'm seeing, rumor, kind of like spec-wise, maybe going into like the 8 flop graphical range.
Okay.
And I think that's only like graphically, that's only like 2 more than what we're dealing with on the X. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
it's going to have a better CPU.
I'll tell you the thing that I really want.
Yeah, the CPU. I'm interested in seeing what
the next hardware. I want a more powerful CPU. I want more basically hybrid type rendering where you have things rendered in the cloud. I do not want ray tracing on the local hardware. I want that remote. I can go into details about that later. But I have good reason.
We never did that live stream about ray tracing either. Right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like if you think about it, there's key components you have to put on a chip in order to have ray tracing work. And essentially, you think about ESRAM, it took up a lot of space on the chip. It's the main reason why the the original Xbox One underperformed. So if you remove that from the equation and you just use that space on the die for other things, more powerful things, and then give the option to do low latency tasks in the cloud, and guess what? Rendering the stuff for ray tracing is high compute, but not very latency dependent. It's also not very much memory dependent, bandwidth dependent when it comes to it. So it's ideal for cloud rendering. But
Don,
I mean,
Don, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when it comes down to this, I hear what you're saying, right? But I also hear what Phil said in terms of never kind of like relinquishing that power crown again. And you know, if you look at kind of like the rumors and supposed leaks of what's happening with the PlayStation 5, I gotta say, a release of this quote-unquote arcade version of an Xbox is not gonna cut it, man. It's not gonna. It's if that happens.
Well, I think people are speculating the wrong things, and that's what I'm trying to. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, let's say they're, on paper they're literally the same specs, right? But let's say Sony used that die for some of the ray tracing technology, and Microsoft offloaded it and allowed it to, basically put other components onto the chip. Theoretically, you're going to be able to squeeze more power out of it, essentially, from the Xbox side of things. And I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. You also have DX12.
That is going to be hard marketing-wise. You saw what happened this generation in terms of...
people get all caught up on, like, this is how you market it. You know what? Just put good shit out there, and as soon as people see it, then that's all that matters.
I can agree with that, right?
I mean, that's what you got to do, right? Like, we got into this whole numbers conversation, and guess what? That stuff matters a lot to me in what I do. But at the end of the day, all it really should matter for a customer is when they look at a product, do they see the difference? And does the experience make sense for the dollar they're going to spend?
Hey, Don, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Do you think, just in your experience, do you think these next generation consoles, basically the PlayStation and the Xbox, are going to be more similar to each other, or is this going to be something where they're completely miles apart from each other?
I think they're taking different approaches.
Okay.
But hold on. But let's not let Don speak in like PR. What does that mean in terms of different approaches, in your opinion, man?
I think they have a hybrid approach. They're going to treat the cloud very much just like how we treat hard drives today, and how we treat individual components inside a system as we're experiencing today.
So most likely Microsoft will offload a lot of shit that's going to slow its system down to the cloud, whereas Sony will most likely try and put everything right there.
Yeah, like, for example, you have only a finite amount of space, right, on a die. So you can choose. You have to make hard bets and choices what you put on that die. It's just from a basic overlook, right? So if you look at history, Microsoft and Sony, Microsoft made the approach to put ESRAM on there, right? That took up a lot of space. That is the main thing that held back the console. That is, otherwise, and it's actually a bigger die than the PlayStation die. So if they didn't put ESRAM and utilize that space towards other things, Xbox would have had the power crown at the start of this generation. So I think that's the approach they're gonna have. If there are things they can offload to the cloud instead of running on local hardware, they'll do that. They'll leverage more powerful hardware, but they're going to leverage the things that are going to make the most sense immediately, and then the things that are CPU intensive, and that's the biggest thing, is CPU intensive type stuff. If you can offload that to the cloud, I mean, rendering physics. That's Don, ideal for the cloud. That's not ideal for local hardware.
Don, check this out. And I think Magnetic Storm in the chat, Magnetic Storm 25, shout out to you. Yeah, I think you bring up something that is a good point that kind of needs to be explained. Like, Don, if they do all this offloading, I mean, basically what you're saying is that your system needs to be always online then.
Yes, I would say. Well, no, not really.
Ready for that though?
No, you don't have to be always online. It's all scalable stuff.
So, like, if you're offline, you just won't get that
extra feature, that extra polish that you can have.
Oh, okay. I can definitely see that.
See,
I think the PlayStation is going to be the same way as well.
For example, like we've seen demos of Tomb Raider, and people make fun of RTX and stuff like that in the PC world right now. But they have ray tracing demos, and when it's on and then when it's off, right? So you can run that offline. You just wouldn't get the ray tracing effects. However, but if you have your system connected online, and ray tracing is one of those things. Like it's not a lot of information. It's not nearly as much as streaming an actual game. So
basically, you're saying like if they play online, like you'll get like just throwing numbers out here, like you'll get the equivalent of like a 1080 GTX, and then if you play offline, you'll get like a
No, I would look at it as just individual features that will be enabled when you play online that they're not game breaking or anything like that. It just basically better visuals,
visual performance enhancements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of just super impressive. Hey, look what I just bought, right? You look at ray tracing. Ray tracing is like, it's cool that we have it in real time, but to be honest with you,
you are so big on this ray tracing lately, man. Do you really feel like moving into the next kind of like series of hardware, this is going to be something developers are really trying to kind of like get installed into their games and progress?
Yeah, they're already integrated into their games already. I've been working on it for about 3 months now.
Yeah, DICE did it to Battlefield 5, did they not?
Hey guys, can we all give a shout out to Slow-Mo Backslap from Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, who is in the chat right now. What is up, my brother?
I mean, here's what it comes down to. People go, what's going to be the next thing? Right? People always try to lock, is it going to be this pixel count? Is it going to be this frame rate? Or is it going to be this? It's going to be contributing to all those, including particle effects, things that have been CPU dependent that we just couldn't have in games. That's the ideal scenario for cloud computing. And it can be anything from, I use this analogy like sparks, blowing in the background to, where the latency thing is not a big deal. Like if it starts a half a second frame sooner or later, that doesn't affect the gameplay, right? Or you have real-time reflections, like you can basically scale the quality of the ray tracing reflections up and down, and it makes it really hard for people to kind of notice the differences there. But it adds to the immersion. It's actually the last effect between Hollywood and video games that we just don't have in games today. But it's incredibly expensive on hardware. That's why it doesn't make any sense to put it on the next generation of local hardware, just because it would just chew up all the capabilities of other things you can do with that hardware. But if you can offload it, the sky's the limits. And that's kind of the general idea.
But you think they're there already to pull something like that off, though? I
see all the pieces. I see all the pieces in the puzzle there, and I see it totally being a thing.
I think they have to. I think they are ready to put it into games, kind of like when you see like newer technology going into game development, like it might be ready to be put into games, but the more that they put this stuff into the games, the more it gets developed even further, the more it gets more kind of like natural, kind of like blended into the game or whatnot.
Oh, features get grandfathered in. People realize how to utilize the technology better, both from artists and just people that are developing the games on the programming side of things. So, that's all part of it as well. But if you look at things like, Crackdown, the physics of running the explosions in Crackdown is, or destruction, I should say, is not too far off from running ray tracing. The tools that are making that work are probably very similar tools that can be scaled for basically doing cloud computing for other things. So anything that's really physics, really CPU intensive, because people go, oh, we've got the new Ryzen 2 CPU. The thing's not even out yet. I can tell you right now it's going to be a disappointment. and not because it's not going to be a good CPU, but in the sense that CPU production has slowed down so much as far as what we can get out of a CPU.
Yeah, but come on. We were using like heavily modified Jaguar for the X. They can definitely...
But you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say is CPUs are so bottlenecked even now. I have have the latest i9 in my computer right now. It just came out not too long ago. I have a 22080s. It's actually being throttled by the CPU today. So I'm saying CPU.
Hey, K Mega, can we call him a show off yet? Because I already did. I just don't know.
But what I'm saying though, CPU, what we can get out of a CPU has slowed down, and it's been slowed down for quite a while. So yeah, you can give us the new Ryzen 2, and it's going to be more powerful than what we currently have in our boxes. But it's still not that great for doing physics. It's still not overly great for some of these other things. You have to do compromises. So if you can offload that stuff, you don't have to do compromises. That's the idea. That's the leverage that Microsoft has that no other company has.
So I get what he's saying. So basically, it's just that, like, it's just like with what we've said with hardware with these consoles, is that the more that these developers work on these consoles, the more juice that they get out of it. So it's just kind of like with the same with the CPU. I assume that the more that these people keep working on these older CPUs, the more that they can get out of it. And if Microsoft can customize these things, then they can maximize it better than.
What I'm saying is the CPUs.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the CPUs we're going to get in the future still suck to push things.
But they're
forward.
not Jaguar cores, man. That's all I got to say. Like,
but what I'm saying is, if you want more physics, you want more all this other stuff, yes, you can do it with more powerful CPU, but you're still restricted.
Dude, I still think it's absolutely phenomenal with the Xbox One X, what they are doing with the cores that are in there now. So I can only imagine if they can find some way in terms of modification, if they can modify if that modification can work on a Ryzen, they're gonna get like something crazy out of it.
Well, and that's the type of stuff that you'll see if you look on paper. You'll see that most likely Microsoft will get more out of their CPU than say Sony will. Just the way they handle just with the things with the X, because that technology is owned by Microsoft, so they own the patents on that. They're going to obviously push that on their hardware and then probably take it to whatever next level they learn going forward. But I'm saying is the next generation CPUs, as powerful as people are bragging about them are really still a bottleneck in the game industry. So the biggest leverage of cloud computing is physics-based, CPU-intensive tasks that they're not latency dependent. That's where you're going to see the most exciting stuff.
Well, I'm in the boat with you in terms of offloading to cloud computing and stuff like that. I definitely see, and Microsoft has been working with that so much, not only on business side, but then gaming side. Like, they know about, working with the cloud and doing computations in the cloud and stuff like that. And I think they are going to use that heavily on the system. But it's
imagine more complex AI as well. Like, that's another thing that Microsoft could
Crap
do.
Gamer is not going to like that if the easy mode is not the easiest mode. I'm just saying.
But I mean, you ever watch a character Gears is guilty of this, right? Like, somebody will hide behind cover, but their ass is sticking out, and you shoot them in the ass, and then they die, right? Well, you can use the same technology that makes ray tracing capable. Use that path tracing from the camera's perspective, and then now the computer can realize, oh, my ass is hanging out, and they have adaptive animation that allows them to tuck behind there, and at the whole entire time, that is something like 17 milliseconds here, 30 milliseconds there. It's not even a full second, so it's not something like it's going to register from a gamer's perspective. But that immersion will go so much further.
Just real quick, I want to say this before it goes away. Sir X-Man, I got to say, he must be like the top Super Chat supporter right now, man. He has gone in here multiple times, and he wanted to repeat this again. Will the PlayStation 5 be as quiet as the new Xbox? He's basically saying the same thing. Is it going to be quiet or loud? Or which one do you think is going to be quieter? And if I'm going with what I'm seeing with the X, again, I know what my PS4 sounded like. I know what my X sounds like. I would have to put my chips in on Xbox, man. That's what I got to say.
I mean, yeah, they got some work to do. And, a lot of the technology that you're seeing in the X is stuff they learned from the server side of things. So, when it comes to the vapor chamber and how that's organized, and it's small enough to fit in blades. And they've already expressed they're going to have similarities of that going forward. So yeah, I would imagine it's going to be quieter than I wouldn't be surprised if the new Xbox One X is quieter. Well, the successor to the X is quieter than the X.
Well, which should come out in 2020. I will fight you on that one. I want my powerful console, and I want it first, man.
Hey, bot,
sorry.
You should worry about a new TV first.
Ooh.
I would definitely agree. I mean,
fired.
Listen. Now that
No,
is
it's not
very
messy. I want you to experience
that
the
is-
best you can.
Yo,
like
I gladly
you
take
can't talk
donations,
about
though.
you
I'm
can't
just
talk
saying.
about this is the truth. You cannot talk about having the Anaconda and still having a 1080p television. It's just not
that.
feasible.
Yo, it's called super sampling, and it works.
No, I just can't. I can't rock with that one. No, I can't co-sign that one, bot.
Well,
You my
hold
boy,
on.
but
Yo,
I can't
I don't think. Yo, Knox, what do you think about this whole 4SKU thing? You heard. I hope we clarified to people that it's not 4 SKUs all at once. Like, I think we're looking at a 2-year thing. Don's saying possibly 3 years, and the more powerful one coming out in 2021. Dude, what do you think? And do you think this could be successful for Xbox coming out with all these SKUs, man?
I mean, look, I know they're not going to drop them all at the same time. That would just be absolutely foolish of them to do. So I doubt they're going to do that. I mean, I don't push shit past nobody, but I doubt they're going to do that. What would make sense to me, right, is this new discless, and I said discless, Xbox that's dropping in 2019, right? If that be like the streaming discless hybrid, so that if you
What?
Because he keeps saying discless, and so I'm trying to make it sound like he's saying really like he's saying something nasty. So I'm saying Okay, never mind.
I know what's going on.
Yeah, never mind.
But no, yeah, like have it so that they can stream on it if they want. But if they so desire to go in there and download the game or purchase a game for download, they can do that as well. You know what I mean? That makes sense to me to have that like 2-in-1 combo. No disc, but streaming capable and also be able to download your shit to the local hard drive on there, right? And absolutely, they gotta drop the Anaconda first, man, and they gotta do it at 2020 to compete with whatever Sony's throwing out, because Sony's gonna bring it. So Microsoft has to do that. Like I said, if they want to release 2 variants of that, like the arcade version, which is the what was it? What was the code name to that one again?
Oh,
Indigo, the
arcade. Hold on 1 second.
I got keep calling it the arcade version.
Lockhart.
Well, that's what.
Lockhart.
Yeah, okay, Lockhart.
That's
right.
the way they describe.
That's the way
it.
they did it with 360.
Yeah.
and
there was an arcade version and a pro version. So
right, the arcade version didn't.
So
have
you make something more powerful than Xbox One X, and you're going to call it arcade?
No, but he's just using that as a reference. But what I'm saying is, you would throw the weaker console as an option, but you heavily advertise the one that you want people to know about, the one you want them to walk in the stores and ask about, and you definitely have to drop that one first. You could drop them simultaneously, you know what I'm saying? But if you have to drop one first, you drop the big boy first. Then the weaker one could come out later as a more, cost efficient option or whatever.
All right,
That's what I say about that.
Well, check this out. Yobi joined, a huge supporter of this channel, of the show. He was like, Sir X-Man, top supporter? He's like, hold my controller. He's like, all love for the panel, but he has a question. And it's basically, what games do you think the new studios from Microsoft will push out? Hopefully new IPs and returning games like MechaSaw, etc. So, with the new studios, NXile, you have, of course, you have Ninja Theory. All the new studios. What games do you think are coming out from these? Do you think they're going into the bag of tricks in terms of older IPs that Xbox owns, or do you think they're coming out new IPs, or do you think it's a mix?
I think it needs to be something new. If you want to dip in the bag for nostalgia's sake, go ahead and do something right. Aren't they bringing back this like JRPG style thing that they just
they renewed? Yeah, Lost Odyssey.
Yes.
There's huge rumors regarding it. Yeah,
right. So if you want to go all out with that, have Obsidian maybe mess with something like that, and go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Make it dope. That's my thing. Everything, whatever they do with these new IPs with their first party studio, has to be absolutely phenomenal, stellar offerings.
Yo, Knox,
that's what they have to be.
Knox, I'm hearing a rumor, and I want to know what you think about this. Ninja Theory, right, is known for making great single-player experiences. What if I told you there is a big possibility that their new game that's going to come out on Scarlet will be a multiplayer-based game? Do you think there would be an outrage if that happens?
Well, what do you mean, like one of the like a Destiny, like one of those continuous living games, or just?
I don't. From what I'm hearing, it's a multiplayer. The rumor is it's a multiplayer-based game. All right, and you know, like people love Hellblade. You know what I'm saying? I was a big fan of Devil May Cry, the DMC kind of like revision that Ninja Theory made, and a lot of people know them for making those kind of like awesome single player experiences. Like, how would you feel if like their new game that's coming out would be a multiplayer based game?
Well, my thing would be this, right? Is that what they want to do? Because if that's coming from them, hey guys, we got this multiplayer game, we got this vision that we've been flirting with for several years now. We want to bring this to fruition, and that's on them. Cool. If it's Microsoft jumping in there going, you know what, guys, we need an Anthem. We need Anthem and we need Destiny. Make it now. That's where I'll have an issue. You know what I mean? Don't force their hand. They're a talented studio. Yes, they're known more for their single player content. But if they are choosing to make a multiplayer game, let's see what they got, right?
Well, I mean, it
could be something phenomenal.
Xbox is saying that they are giving them creative freedom, so you would think that if they do come out with a game that at its anchor is a multiplayer based game, it would be a game that they wanted to make. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just that, kind of like the stigma when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, and when they acquire development studios, and if the studio comes out with something different that they haven't done before, all of a sudden it's Microsoft and Xbox putting their thumb on the studio and making them do this and making them do that. Like, and I'm not
right. That's what we don't want. I mean, that does have to be a certain, level of quality control, right? You're not just going to say, hey, make whatever you want, and then they make a turd ass game that, Microsoft has to be keeping an eye on it, making sure that, that it suits their needs as well. We all know that, right? But yeah, let them live, let them bring what they're passionate about to life. It's kind of the same thing I said with Halo, right? Let 343 make the game they want, the Halo game they want. Let them bring that vision to life. I'm always going to support that developers are given that opportunity, instead of forcing their hand. Like, you just don't want them. Look what happened with Rare was forced to make Kinect games. Is that really? Come on, man.
But they made the best Kinect games. Like, I hear that all the time.
Yeah, but if I put two turds in a box and go, this one is the smellier one.
You're a Kinect hater. That's all that is. All right.
Hey,
I
hate to tell you this, but they actually made that choice.
Did they?
Yes.
Yes. They've openly admitted several times.
They said they wanted to sit there and make Kinect games, not keep going with their Viva Pinata type
Here's
stuff.
The thing is, like, you always have to pitch something to your publisher, and sometimes the publisher will ask you to do things. But at the end of the day, they did pitch. They were excited about Kinect. They wanted to do Kinect software.
Dude, when the first Kinect,
and they wanted to do it.
When the first Kinect came out, dude, it caught fire. All right, like, you got to be real here. It caught fire.
Yeah, I copped it.
How you sell peripheral out there? Like, they were excited. Rare was excited about it. That's why I hate
job security for them.
Yeah, they're like,
no one else was doing that shit.
We are gonna master this, and we are gonna come out with the best games for it. And
I enjoyed their game. I enjoyed a lot of Kinect's game. You know, I am about lips, so I mean, I need to see something else like that.
Well,
Like lips,
dude.
Hell yeah, lips was dope. We need lips again.
Nah, come on, man. You got a cop Rock Band on guitar here.
No. Man likes his Zario Speedwagon, and he likes his lips.
I like Dance Central too, man. Hell, that was keeping me in shit. Man, I don't even play it anymore.
I own all them shits, bro. I got Dance Central. I got Lips with the two cordless mics. I got all that shit.
Lips was the groove,
guys,
man.
Check this out. We're talking about the Kinect. I want to take a minute here. We got some awesome supporters of the show, of the channel, of our channels, like awesome subscribers. And I gotta say, huge shout out to Z Black Rider, because he is sending me an adapter for my Kinect, and I will be able to use my Kinect again with my Xbox One X. I will be able to go in and play Kinect Sports Rivals. I will be able to go into my room and be like, Xbox on, and it just turns on. I cannot wait. Thank you so much, man. I really, really do appreciate it. You have no idea how
Somebody
excited.
bought his boy a 4K television.
I had one of those. I sold it for like $200.
TCLs is $300.
Yeah,
man.
bro, get yourself a TCL.
Dude, I gotta worry
Make
about-
just
I gotta
duct tape a
worry
couple
about
of 720p ones together. And
Brother,
I know, like yeah.
Talking about a TV, I gotta worry about the internet bill coming up next Sunday, man. That's my immediate thing right now. All right. But guys, unless you have anything else left to say about like the multiple SKUs, I know there was a couple topics left on the table, but you know we need the crowd, like we need to leave them wanting more. So I think this is a good place where we can kind of wind down the show, you know, and like a 40-year-old with a comb over, get those plugs in. What do you guys think? Are we good to go?
Yeah, I do want to make one last point to this. Is that I was reading a couple of comments of people saying that like Xbox would lose their way, things like that, for bringing out these different SKUs, and I totally disagree with that notion. Look, it's just that they don't want to have any rock. They don't want to have any. They want to have every rock unturned. They want to reach out to as many gamers as they possibly can, and they know that there are going to be gamers that will wait till the price is right for them to get that type of console. So if you have multiple SKUs that meet their budget, then it benefits them. If you have different people out there that don't care about no power, they just want to play their games. So let them have that option. If you know what I'm saying, there's other people that's like me and probably mostly everybody else in this panel that want the newer, shinier thing. And we'll all be going for the Anaconda when that drops. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just that. And there's all type of gamers in between. I think as long as they manage it properly, then you know what I'm saying, with the proper type of advertisement, things like that, then they'll be fine. All the bullshit aside, what's going to make the sales happen is the games. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how many SKUs. They can have 1 million SKUs. If they don't have the games to properly get people off their asses to go buy these consoles, or to keep the consoles that they have and not go ahead and put their money towards a PlayStation 5, then you know what I'm saying, the game system is where it's going to be at. So I don't know. And then also for the game, that I think that rumor is not true. They have too many other studios that can do any of those type of online games. I think that I think Ninja Theory is going to do one of their Vision projects that got canceled, and that was more like a space type of game. And that may have some online capabilities to it, but I think that game, and it looked crazy because it looked like some kind of crazy Warframe type of game, but maybe it could be. I don't know.
Do you guys want a good insight of what they're working on?
What are they working on?
Okay, so this was told to me by an employee before even Microsoft was thinking about picking them up. Everything, and this before Hellblade came out, everything they worked on Hellblade was a test bed to help them develop their bigger project they're working on.
Or Hellblade-esque, which would be awesome.
Well, it could be anything. It could be to their facial capture technology, the way they approach sound.
Yeah, the face capture.
It could be a lot of things. So they Hellblade in a lot of ways was a smaller project to basically experiment in for their next bigger project that they wanted to do. So there could be huge, may not be anything that looks like Hellblade, but you'll see elements, that DNA from there. So that's what it was told to me, that their studios are always working on new projects. They didn't give me a name or anything like that, but that's what it was told to me before Microsoft was even in talks with them. So, and before Hellblade came out.
Nice, man. Yo, dude, you know people around the industry. That's freaking awesome, man.
That was that whole GDC thing when I had that.
Dude, I've been a fan of Ninja Theory ever since Kung Fu Chaos on the original Xbox, man. And dude, I think whatever they do, I don't care if it's multiplayer, if it's single player. The only reason why I brought it up is because, as soon as a development team, if they get acquired by Xbox, as soon as they do something different. All of a sudden, it's kind of Big Brother telling them what to do, and it's not like their decisions and stuff. You saw that with Rare in terms of the Kinect games and all sorts of stuff. People try to say all the time that it's the publisher, it's Xbox. They're the ones doing all this, and that's not necessarily so.
It goes both ways, and sometimes they're just not good marriages. That's just how it goes. But I just want to give those people that insight. It doesn't ruin anything, doesn't spoil anything. But when you do get to see Ninja Theory's new game, you get this. I'm sure it gives you something to look for, and you can start seeing what that statement meant. In regards, I'm curious what that statement meant in full integrity, because it's talking in riddles sort of thing to another developer, but also talking about why they're working on the project and why it kind of started off that way. And it's formed my approach. I experiment on little things all the time that are not going to be full-fledged games or anything like that, just to see if the mechanics work before I implement it to my own game. So it's them basically taking all that stuff they were implemented on the side and made a game out of it is what they did. So.
Whoa. You guys there in the chat who have hung around with us, stayed around for the show, you guys got a little bit, I guess you could say, a next podcast exclusive. The Don has let you know that quite possibly the project that will be first party from Ninja Theory, the Hellblade was kind of like the tester before this bigger project coming out. So, I mean, that's got to excite a lot of people out there. And
I'm very excited about that, yeah.
Yeah, so... like I said, guys, it is time to wind it down. I haven't talked it over with the panel yet, but I have a strong feeling this will be the last show of 2018, and the next podcast will be in 2019. So, guys, when we do the outros here, when we get the plugs in, man, you got to really hammer it home and let them know, because we might not be doing one until next year. So, with that being said, we're gonna go with the Rookie of the Year first. My brother Knoxximus, Knox, you had awesome opinions tonight. It was an absolute blast, as always. Every Saturday to have this panel come together. Why don't you let people know what is going on with your channel and where they can get a hold of you to talk games, man?
All right, man, no doubt, man. Like always, first and foremost, though, man, happy holidays to everyone on the panel, all of the guys out in the chat, man. It was awesome, and I hope everybody just has a very good holidays. Get that out of the way first, because I know I plan to enjoy myself. And yeah, man, in Knox We Trust, right here on YouTube. That's my channel. That's where you can find me. I'm going to be trying some new things coming up after the holidays. I've been grinding, so that's why I didn't get to put one out. I felt upset about that, but, I got to do what I got to do, bro. So, but the content is coming, and you can always find me right here. Saturdays, the next podcast with the crew. And let's get it.
Yeah, brother. Yo, I'm gonna go to Predator next, just because I feel like Predator has a super fan in the chat now. Our boy Italian Clowns, he is a big vote for Pred guy. So we got to go with Predator here. Pred, what is going on with you? Why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you, to talk about this whole gaming thing, man?
If you just want to talk about games, y'all can catch me here on the podcast or in Twitter. If you want to play some games, catch me on my Xbox, Predator_H2OS. Most likely be on some Battlefield, Call of Duty, or Ghost Recon tonight. So hit me up on one of those channels and one of those games that we'll play tonight. Other than that, man, I'll see you guys after the new year.
Nice, brother. And next on the list, let's go with the man who said in the DM that he was showing up tonight, and with being put on the spotlight a lot when it comes to next generation hardware, I feel like he did nothing but hit home runs on this show. Don, what is going on with you, with your YouTube channel, and where can people get a hold of you to talk about this gaming thing, man?
The best way to do is follow me on Twitter, which is Don_KTR. And then also my gamer tag is very similar to that, just no underscore. My YouTube channel link is in kind of the little area on Twitter where you can look at someone's profile. Feel free to subscribe there, because I am dropping some interesting content the day after Christmas. I'm starting my first series is going to be coming out that day, and it's going to be, I'm going to be tackling what the Master Chief should look like in the next game. It's just a fun little exercise. I know it's asking for a lot of heat because working on Master Chief is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like naming your kid Jesus. You hope he's going to turn out good, right? So like, yeah, that's how it's going to be with this. This is going to be my take on it. This is not an influence of 343 or anything like that. It's just my take. What I wanted to see, something borrowing from old, adding something new, the influence, all that sort of stuff, and kind of join me along the adventure. It's going to be a several-part series in regards to that, and I have a lot of things planned for the channel, but this is going to give you guys the first little glimpse of what I'm going to be doing on the channel, so hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Nice, brother. And last but certainly not least is my brother K Mega. Mega, I got to say, another year on this podcast. Of course, GRG going strong as well. I gotta say, dude, it's been an absolutely crazy year. I think you would definitely agree with me, man. But you know what to do. We are professionals here. Let them know what you're up to and where they can get a hold of you, man.
Yeah, I know, man. It seems like you Johnny Carson and I'm Egg McMahon up in this piece, man. You know what I'm saying? Just doing it, man. But anyway, yeah. You can check me out on my channel, KMega405. I'm kind of like the same as Knox. I mean, it's kind of like the holidays. I always kind of wind down on doing videos or even, not doing GRG as much because I just want to have people to spend time with their families. But we had GRG last night. And it was long, 3 hours, but it was really entertaining. Yeah, but it was entertaining as hell, man. It was really fun. So, and it was the last show of the year. So we'll get back into doing things. The Welsh Gamer came on, man, and you got to give him big props because it was 2:30 in the morning when he started on the podcast
Welsh is
last
a trooper,
night.
Man.
He's
about
a trooper,
a hardcore gamer right there as well. And great guest, dude.
And the exchanges between and you would think it would have been Livewire, but Livewire was actually really cool. You know what I'm saying? Really, he wasn't Donald Trumpish last night. He was really even keel. It was Lemon because the exchanges between Welsh and Lemon was pretty funny. 108 Dragons was great. But other than that, man, it was a fun show. Check it out. And man, like I said, just check me out on Twitter as well at KMega4. And that's it, man. That's it, man. Check me out when we come back next year, man. I'm happy. Nice. Happy. Gaming.
Again, huge shout out for the gaming community out there, all the supporters, people who come in, tune in every Saturday. Guys, thank you so much for all the support. You guys inspire us to come together every Saturday to make this the most informative and the most entertaining gaming podcast that we can offer you guys. And just by seeing the crowds and people coming in and the chat and all the comments and stuff, I think we're doing a pretty good job. Guys, like I said, this is quite possibly last show of the year. Definitely follow me on Twitter at xbot448. I'm thinking about doing a couple changes. New year, you got to get a new look, stuff like that when it comes to the shows, possibly the channel. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Not only that, if you want to vote for who you thought had the best gameplay, you got to go to my Twitter because it's right there at the top, pinned to the top. We all know who had the best gameplay tonight, right, guys? We all know who did. That Mario. No, come on, man. But guys, it is Saturday night. The gamers got a game. We got to get those controllers in our hands. So I am going to end the show the way I do every Saturday. We will check you out Saturday 2019 with the next podcast, yo. Have a great year, everybody.
Is
happy
2019
holidays.
When you're going to get a 4K television box?
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Yeah, get somebody help this boy get a damn TLC or something. Get his ass.